delighted to say we are at Edgbaston for the second match in the Women's Ashes. And let's start by explaining what it's all about. It's a T20 match, so 20 overs per side. And it's a second match because a test match has already taken place. A multi-format series, 1 test match, 3 T20s and 3 one-day internationals. And different points are allocated for the different formats. 4 points for the test match and 2 each for the one-day games, the T20s and the one-day internationals. And I'm afraid to say, from an England point of view, Australia didn't scrape home, but they did. It was a very competitive test match at Trent Bridge that they won. So they picked up 4 points. It means there are another 12 points on offer, but because Australia hold the Ashes, for England to regain them, they need to get, barring any abandonments, they need to win 5 of the remaining 6 white ball games. So, look, they can't lose the Ashes today, but they will be drinking in the last chance saloon if they do lose it. So it's a key game for England. They would love to win. They're at a fortress for women's cricket. The Commonwealth Games held here last year, and we got sell-out crowds. And what I'm delighted to say is that at Edgbaston right now there is a really large crowd building up. I think this is the largest crowd I've ever witnessed for a home T20 for England, without a doubt. I mean, people have talked about that great World Cup final at the MCG for sure, but this venerable old ground is filling up magnificently. The atmosphere is great, the sun is out, the lights are warming up. There's a bit of cloud away over Birmingham City Central, but we're expecting a full game without interruptions. And we've had the toss already. Australia have won it. They're getting quite a lot of luck at the moment. They've won the toss and they have elected to bowl, which is intriguing. The teams therefore are through. The players are going to come out any minute now. I am alongside World Cup winner Georgia Elvis, and we'll run you through these teams. To start with, England, they go in with Sophia Dunkley and Danny Wyatt at the top of the order. That's been their method all through the T20 World Cup, as well as Alice Capsey, Nat Sciver-Brunt, Heather Knight and Amy Jones. They all figured in the top 6 for England in the World T20 that they lost in the semi-final last year. Well, last year was this year, wasn't it? Actually, it was in Cape Town in February. We were at that. Then comes Danny Gibson making her debut, an all-rounder, medium-pace all-rounder, big hitting batter, formerly of Wales, now Gloucestershire, just made that trip across the Severn Bridge. Then Sophie Ecclestone, the number 1 bowler in the world. She had a great test match, picked up 10 wickets in that. She's England's main spearhead. Sarah Glenn, T20 specialist, very fine leg spinner. Freya Davis, seamer, and Lauren Bell, the tall in-swinging bowler. And for Australia, well, this is a powerhouse team. They are the world champions for very good reasons. They're a magnificent outfit, and they go in with Beth Mooney and Alyssa Healy at the top of the order, Talia McGrath, Ashley Gardner, Elise Perry, Grace Harris, Annabelle Sutherland. That's 5 all-rounders of incredible quality there, who could do everything. They might bowl 4 overs, might bowl 1. We saw in the World Cup, they rotated their bowlers. Then the leg spinner Georgia Wareham, Jess Jonathan, the veteran left armer, Megan Shute is back in, and the great pace of Darcy Brown. So, Georgia, just run us through the changes from the test teams. It's different formats, so we get slightly different players.
Yeah, so for Australia, Litchfield, King and Garth all out, and in comes Grace Harris, your favourite.
Big fan.
Georgia Wareham and Megan Shute. And for England, out goes Phyla Cross, Beaumont and Lamb. And in comes Alice Capsey, Danny Gibson on debut, Sarah Glenn and Freya Davis.
Let's make no bones about this, Georgia. Australia the number 1 side in the world for good reason, but we were both at that World T20, and I think we both agreed the thing that was so strange was that they didn't actually go particularly hard. They didn't whack the ball out the park. What they did was the basics of cricket really well. They ran between the wickets really well, and they fielded fantastically. They probably picked up 10 runs in running between the wickets and 10 runs in fielding. They are beatable, and any side on their day, we saw India should have won in that semi-final. Harmanpreet Kaur got a bat stuck in the ground.
Yep.
Otherwise they would have got through. Jemima Rodriguez with that daft shot.
Yep.
Bit of baseball there was there, wasn't there? But we are ready to go, and Megan Shute with this familiar little skip at the start of her run runs in away from us from the pavilion end. The first delivery is on the pads, flicked away. It's a short fine leg, and there is no run. So my view is that they're there for the taking.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and this England side believe. I think we've spoken before at length about how the skill level between the two sides is not that different. It's the athleticism that these Australians have. It's you say the runs that they're saving in the field and that they're picking up with the bat.
Here's shooting once more, right arm over. Let's play off the back foot into the cover region. There will be no run. Beth Mooney, a live wire in the field. She has a look very occasionally of a curious panda, but she moves at much greater speed. So look out for her.
For someone who keeps at domestic level, she's an outstanding fielder as well.
Here's shoot. No slips in place. And Dunkley comes down the wicket and drives. First run of the match. Up to mid-on to rapturous applause. The Holly stand is filling up. And this really is a truly wonderful sight, actually. Edgbaston with this many people in it. Did you imagine a T20, a women's T20 international with this many people in it?
We're big cricket fans in the West Midlands, we are.
You
Very
are.
supportive. Came out in our droves for the Commonwealth Games. Having played here for the Birmingham Phoenix in the 100, we always got a very good crowd. They seem to get behind it. They love their cricket. They get behind the girls, and it's fantastic to see tonight.
Now, Danny Wyatt's facing her first ball. She has a strike rate of 125, a veteran, over 100 T20 internationals. Made her test debut at Trent Bridge last week, and she plays her first ball into the offside. Go through for a quick single. This could be tight. Shy at the stumps, misses, but is backed up. Enterprising running. Danny Wyatt will force quick runs between the wicket. I mean, when you think about the players of real athleticism in this England side, Danny Wyatt is right up there. She's a terrific in the field. Just seeing that in the replay again, it was a wild throw. Had it been straighter, she only had one stump to aim at, Mooney, but it would have been very close. Just give you the field. There are 4 in the ring on the offside from short third all the way up to mid-off. The shoot is in, and again Dunkley advances, gets it through the infield. This runs towards the boundary. It won't make it there. It's being pulled back by McGrath, and they'll get back for just a couple of runs. England move to 4 without loss. And what a change of pace this is for me. I was at Lord's for the first 3 hours of today, fulminating with rage at the way. I mean, England didn't actually do a great deal wrong today. They did all that. England's men, they did all that previous 2 days.
Yeah.
But now the women's T20 international, can it be a soothing balm for us all today? And shoot is in, and that's whacked into the offside. This might make it to the boundary. Short and cut away, and that is going to be the first boundary of this T20 international. And England have got off to a very bright start now, 8 without loss. After the first over, Dunkley 7, Wyatt has 1.
Yeah, it's good from Dunkley, just advancing, using her feet, coming at the ball as she likes to do. She likes to generate that pace in. It doesn't look like there's a huge amount of swing out there from Megan Schutt. Usually gets a good bit of in-swing movement. But yeah, that vacant cover region, Dunkley just picks a gap and slaps it through.
Now then, you can, if you want to, if you're able to, watch this match on the BBC right now, on BBC Two or on iPlayer. We have a smorgasbord of stars. Henry Moran, Catherine Sciver-Brunt, Alex Blackwell, 5 times World Cup winner. Anya Shrubsole is in the house, who has been with us here on Test Match Special, and she is next door. So you can watch that if you wish, or if you're people of discerning taste, you can watch it and just sync up the pictures with me and Georgia. Now then, a slip in place for Darcy Brown. Darcy Brown, if you're unfamiliar with her, is the real speedster in women's world cricket at the moment. Up there with Shabnim Ismail. She runs in from the city end, and this is all flayed at, and has it got an edge? Well, Healy's convinced, and now she throws the ball at the stumps, but Wyatt saw that coming. And she's gone for the swing and a miss, and Healy was convinced there was an edge there, but she's not referring. We do have DRS, of course, but no. Well, that was extraordinary. Anna Harris, the umpire, is smiling.
Danny Wyatt was all sorts of confused, looking around, about to leave a crease. Lisa Healy's got the ball very close to the stumps in her hand, so I think Dunkley shouted to her, "Get back."
Well, I wonder if she was trying something really sneaky. This is quite a tricky one to explain to listeners. But if she thought that she could appeal for a stumping... I'll tell you what the noise was. This is amazing. We've just seen on the replay. You don't see this very often. a beautiful delivery from Darcy Ban. It just feathered the stump and the bail lifted up and went back into its groove as Wyatt smashes this through backward point for 4. What a shot that was. A bit of wit, threw her hands at it, but she's got a life, a serious life, and the next ball she's cashed in.
Well, Danny Wyatt is probably the best person I know that just isn't fazed by anything. So that will have bowled her. Bail's not come off. She thinks, right, next ball then, gets her hands through it, races away to the offside. It's like that ball before never happened.
I bet she didn't even know that ball did hit the stumps. I'm not sure she'd have seen the replay yet. As Brown is in again, this is driven firmly, but to point, they're going through for a single on the misfield. But Wyatt gets home. And England are 13 without loss. This is a really bright start from England, full of aggressive, positive intent. This is what we've been hearing about from John Lewis, their coach.
Yeah, and I think these two, if any in the side, are going to be aggressive and attacking. It is these two, and these two, they love batting together. They're very good friends. They talk over dinner. Went for dinner with both of them last night, actually. They talk about how they're going to take the Aussies down, and they love that.
Oh, fighting talk. Well, let's hope their talk is more effective than the men's. As Brown is into Dunkley. She pulls at this, out through deep square leg. The chase is on. They'll think of a second. They're coming back for the second. This could be close, but they've made it. That's brilliant running from Dunkley. She was running to the danger end because the ball went behind square on the leg side. Fielder ran round, threw in, but she was never going to get it to the non-striker's end. So Dunkley, she decided she wanted 2 from the moment it left the bat. And England go to 15 without loss.
It is brilliant running because it's a long outfield out there, and although Megan Schutt is quick, she hasn't got the strongest arm. Brown
in again. That's been pulled at and missed. Short through to the keeper. Brown is bowling speedily here. But they're going after her. 15 without loss. 1 ball left in the second over. We've got a slip still in place. 3 in the ring on the off. Well, 4 in the ring on the offside. From mid-off through to backward point. Mid-on, mid-wicket. A long leg and a deep third. As Brown is in. Dunkley, well, hoiks at this. And she can't beat mid-on. Really good fielding. Prevents it going to the boundary. But they will get a single. End of the over, 16 without loss. Let's head straight over to Lords to Ellie Aldroyd for an update.
And matters are relatively steady here at the moment, Daniel. 104 for 4 is the England score. 371 is the target. Ben Duckett is on 47. He's hit 3 boundaries in the last 2 overs. Ben Stokes is on 22. We've got around about 15 and 20 minutes to go before the close of play. And can England survive to fight another day?
Well, I do like those sorts of questions. We say it's 15 to 20 minutes. If they lose 3 quick wickets, they could extend by half an hour. Because I believe the Aussies quite like a round of golf as well. It's not just England's Baz ballers.
Thanks for the positivity, Daniel.
Not feeling awfully positive, Ellie, after what I witnessed on days 2 and 3.
Was it because you're not here?
Well, now I'm not there, I feel a lot more calm. Megan Schutt starts a new over, right arm over the wicket, and that's been pulled away out to deep square leg by Dunkley. She'll pick up a single. Goes to 11. I'm loving the way Georgia Elvis that these two are going about this. They're fearless.
Yeah, we've spoken about it for a long time, haven't we? And I think Dunkley and White complement each other, and they both run really well together. So Danny White's somebody who likes to scamper through, and Dunkley is quick as well. So the running between the wickets has been really good so far.
Shoot in, full. That's bottom of the bat. There's a very full length delivery, almost Yorker length, and it balloons back to the bowler. Just a reminder, listening to 5 Live, and we're at the Women's Ashes at Edgbaston in front of a very sizable crowd. Second match in this multi-format series. England 4 points to 0 behind after losing the test, looking to get back in this series with a win that would give them 2 points with 5 more matches to go, each worth 2 points. Sounds complicated? It isn't really. Shoot in. Wyatt dabs this into the offside with soft hands. Really well played. Allows him to scamper through for a single. Great understanding between these two. They batted together a fair few times now at the top of the order.
Yeah, and Wyatt's in good form. She's been in great form for the Southern Vipers so far this season. Played really well in her test debut last week at Trent Bridge. Same approach as she takes to all her white ball games. She's seen the ball nicely.
Shoot runs in, this time to Dunkley. Dunkley advances and crashes just up to mid-on, where Sutherland does the fielding, but just got to her a bit too quickly. I'm looking at the boundary sizes here. It's a talking point in women's cricket. Away to our right in front of the Hollies stand. I'm looking at both sides. Actually, I think it's probably quite even, isn't it? The boundary size. I think the pitch is pretty much in the middle of the playing area. And it's healthy sized boundaries. It can be quite a hit to get a 6 out to the Hollies. That's been flat batted. Up to mid-on, shy of the stumps, hits, but Dunkley was home. Really good running. Umpire Sue Redfern having to take evasive action there. She did rather nimbly.
Did you see how the match ball came out today?
No.
Oh, it was fantastic. I think you were going through the teams at the time, so I didn't want to disturb you, but there was a little pink car.
Ooh.
A little pink car brought it out, and Sue Redfern...
Did Lady Penelope emerge from Thunderbird?
Took the ball off the top and away they went.
Actually, I think Parker would probably hand over the ball rather than Lady Penelope. As this ball's down the leg side, that'll be a wide signal by umpire Sue. One more to the total. If you're unfamiliar, wides count as a run, and then you get to re-bowl the ball as if it had never happened. Which is rather lovely. 20 without loss. One ball left in the third over. Dunkley has 12, Wyatt has 7. England have got off to a bright start, but they've not got away from Australia yet. The shoot is in, and this is all Bolzer straight through. Wyatt aiming to drive that up and over extra cover, and Australia get the breakthrough. The off stump out of the ground, and Wyatt goes for 7. England 20 for 1.
Yeah, it's a good bit of bowling. Megan Schutt bowled a tidy over so far. Just a little cross seamer, I think. They've come in with the angle and just held its line, but clatters into Danny Wyatt's off stump, sends it out the ground, and she was going for a rather expansive shot over the offside, misses and has to go.
Well, it's a shot she likes to play, isn't it? That one up and over, extra cover. But it means that Alice Capsey will walk out to the crease. Now, were you surprised that Alice Capsey was left out of the Test team?
Yeah, I was a little bit. I think she'd have been vying for the same sort of spot that Danny Wyatt ended up getting in the Test side. But of course, Alice Capsey can bowl some off spin as well. So I was a little bit surprised that they didn't go with her. But maybe they felt like Danny Wyatt was the one in the better form out of the two of them. Like I said, Danny Wyatt's been batting beautifully all summer. And yeah, they felt like they had enough bowlers with the options that they had, and they probably didn't expect that Nat Sciver-Brunt couldn't bowl as much as what happened. But Alice Capsey, she'd have loved to have played. She loves playing cricket.
I'd have loved to have seen her in a Test, because I think she's the sort of person who would really relish playing a long innings as well. I remember hearing a tale of her getting out for about 160 in a club game, and she was furious because there were still 5 overs left, I think. She just wants to face as many balls as she can.
Yeah.
She's out there now, 19 years old, burst onto the scene a couple of years back. Down the wicket comes Dunkley, clips it in the air momentarily through mid-wicket out towards fielder on the deep mid-wicket boundary for a single. She moves to 13, 21 for 1. She made a half-century on her debut at Lords for the London Oval Invincibles against the London team. Spirit. Yeah. The unbeaten Oval Invincibles, 200 wins out of 2. Don't you forget it.
I won't, not with you sat next to me.
No. You're Welsh Fire, aren't you?
Welsh Fire this year, yeah.
Well, that might transform their fortunes.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
But transform it. The second is fine. You can lose the final to the Oval Invincibles. I'll be fine with that. Capsey faces her first delivery, and she drives this back up the wicket to Gardner. Ash Gardner was the star of the Test match the other day, player of the match. Took 8 wickets in that second innings. An off-spinner taking 8 wickets against 11 right-handers is quite the feat.
She bowled beautifully, didn't she? Turn, bounce, used the pitch.
She's in again for the City end. Dunkley advances and drives up to mid-on, but there's no run. What is it about? Is it the drift that she gets?
Drift, dip. She puts a lot of revs on the ball as well, and I think she's got almost a scrambled seam delivery that doesn't turn.
Gardner in, and that's a horrible hoik from Dunkley, but she'll get a single for it out to the well-set deep mid-wicket, who is Georgia Wareham. Throw comes in, 23 for 1. Dunkley to 14.
was a consistency of line in the Test match that I liked. The England girls didn't know whether to play or leave the ball.
This ball to Capsey just played back up the wicket to the bowler. There's no run. But you know, in the World T20, she didn't always bowl a full allocation. Did you sometimes feel that there was a bit of an issue? It had so many bowlers, sometimes didn't quite know which ones to use.
Absolutely.
Gardner's in again. Down the wicket comes Capsey, and she works this along the ground up to mid-on, or long on, I should say. At the end of the over, 4 gone. England 24 for 1. Dunkley 14, Capsey 2. Back to Eleanor Aldroyd at Lords.
Ben Duckett has got a 50 to add to his 98 in the first innings. He's 50 off 62 balls, so a relatively even-paced one from Duckett. Stokes has just clubbed Stark away for 4. He's on 26. 62 runs for the 5th wicket so far for England. They're 111 for 4, chasing 371 to win. So 260 more needed.
So it looks like I'm going to have to come back tomorrow morning, does it?
I suspect that we might be seeing you with your cheeriness in the media centre tomorrow.
Well, this is great news. Get a nice early train on a Sunday. Those aren't the worst words in the English language, are they? An early Sunday train. Right, thank you, Eleanor. I'm sure we'll be back with you before the close of play. Anya Shrubsole, World Cup winner and hero of 2017, has joined me. Start of a new over. First ball from Darcy Brown. Her second over, she swapped ends, is pushed into the offside. There's no wrong. What have you made of England's start, and indeed Australia's?
Yeah, England have looked to be really positive. Got away in those first few overs, but that wicket, last ball of the third over, really tight over from Ash Gardner there, has put England a bit on the back foot. They'll be looking for a couple of good overs here to get out the power play. 5th
over and 6th over, those are usually the ones which you really do target, don't you? Hope someone's in and seeing it well. As Capsey is facing up to a block hole delivery, she digs out and Perry flings the ball at the non-striker's end, but Dunkley's home. 25 for 1, Capsey to 3.
Capsey's she likes to get up and running pretty quickly, so she'll continue to take this on. This her role in this England team kind of since last summer, coming in at number 3 and taking it on in the power play, so she will not be backwards in coming forwards.
Here comes Brown. In, short, swiped at and missed by Dunkley as it passed over her right shoulder. I'm looking at England's side, Eccleston's at 8, and you really do have 3 number 11s at 9, 10 and 11. There's no point making any bones about it. Sarah Glenn's coming in at 9, then you've got to do the work with the top 8. Do you think there was a case for trying to find a place for Lauren Winfield-Hill, perhaps? As Brown is in. And Dunkley goes for the ramp, and she could get caught here. No, it's going to land just in front of the on-rushing long leg. She went to flick that finer, but in the end it went perilously close to the field route, deep long on. And Dunkley gets a single.
I think there's a few, issues with that. Nat Sciver-Brunt not bowling today. You'd have to take out a bowler to fit Lauren Winfield-Hill in, and I don't think that works. That would leave them really short of bowling options.
Brown in. It's worked up towards mid-on, but a little bit too firmly by Capsey to make a single possible. 26 for 1 the score remains.
And I think also Lauren Winfield-Hill she opens the batting. She bats either basically 1, 2 or occasionally 3. If she were to slot into this team, it would be at 7 or 8, and I don't think she's the sort of player you necessarily want coming in at 7 and 8 when she's used to opening the batting. So I get your logic, but I don't think it quite works.
Brown in to complete the 5th over. Pass another great block hole delivery. A shy at the stumps hits. And they're going to go upstairs and have a look at this, because Capsey was just dawdling. Capsey was dawdling a little there. She hit it into the offside. Brown was very smart, moving to her left, collected, threw down the stumps. Capsey didn't get back particularly quickly. I wonder. This could be close.
Australia are acting as if this is out, and Capsey's not giving me good body language at the minute.
No.
She's looking a bit guilty.
Well, she should feel guilty here, because she had plenty of time to get back. She'd only advanced 2 steps.
If this is out, it's a really, really poor bit of cricket from Alice Capsey, and looks like she's in.
Well, there we go. We don't have to go hard on her. We can go back to going hard at England's men instead. End of the over. There's going to be a change in the commentary box. England 25 for 1. More from Anya Shrubsole, and then it will be Melissa Story.
It's a really important over here. Last over of the power play, England will want a good over to try and get up towards that 35-40 mark. Australia will be pretty happy here. 1 wicket, England only going at 5 and over on what looks like a pretty good true surface. Hello, Melissa.
Hello, Anya. I'll just make a slight correction. Hang on a second. All of a sudden here, Alice Capsey has been deemed run out. Originally on the replay, her bat seemed to be grounded, but the umpires have come together. You can hear the crowd booing. The Australian players are exchanging verbals out there, and it looks as if when the bails lifted, her bat wasn't actually grounded. So all of a sudden it's Alice Capsey walking off the pitch, and England are 26 for 2 after 5 overs. Alice Capsey walking off the pitch here is shrugging to her England teammates, and she doesn't seem too happy there. What's happened here?
I'm not entirely sure. I can only assume that as she's grounded the bat outside of the crease, it's kind of bounced up, and there's been nothing grounded behind the line. That's all I can assume there. From what we're seeing, it's pretty hard to tell that, but maybe the third umpire's got a better view than we have, but it looks like she's grounded her bat before the line and it's bounced up and hit the stump. So not quite sure what's happened there, but it's should never have been in that situation, to be honest with you.
Well, a reminder, you're here with us at Edgbaston in this first women's T20 in the Ashes. Already 4-0 to Australia after the test at Trent Bridge in Nottingham last week, and England needing to win 5 of the 6 remaining games. An update from Ellie Oldroyd at Lords.
Ben Duckett is out for 50. Mitchell Starc taking the catch off the bowling of Cameron Green, just running around the boundary, taking it just in front of the sight screen. So that is the 5th wicket down for England. 113 for 5. They still need another 258 to win, although there is some hesitation on the boundary ropes as Ben Duckett pauses in front of the pavilion. I don't think there is any question that Mitchell Starc held that one, but maybe there is a doubt, maybe, because it actually did. It was in his hand and it touched the ground, and then it slid across the ground. He had it in his control, but it looks like Ben Duckett might have been reprieved here. I'll come back to you on this one, Melissa.
There seems to be a bit of controversy here at Edgbaston, over at Lords as well. Nat Sciver-Brunt has joined Sophia Dunkley in the middle, scored 30 for 2, and Sophia Dunkley, after sweeping the first ball of this Gardner over for 4, has replicated the shot. 2 4s off the over so far, and Dunkley moves on to 23 off 19.
Yeah, a couple of really good boundaries there from Sophia Dunkley. A little bit straight from Ash Gardner with square leg inside the ring. It's just allowed her to help that ball round the corner for 2 boundaries.
Ash Gardner off spinner, moving the ball into the right-handed Dunkley, who's pushing back to the bowler for no run. It's all been happening here, and we're still in the power play at the moment, Anya. 2 balls left, where, of course, Australia currently only allowed 2 fielders outside this inner ring. That will move to 4 in 2 deliveries time, as an ugly work into the onside. Another chance of a run out. Nat Sciver-Brunt, without having faced a ball, found herself tumbling in at the strikers and desperately trying to make her ground. She does so in the end. A bit of a wayward throw in from Grace Harris. And England, after a comfortable start, just seem to be having a bit of a wobble here. Not really the thing you wanted, as Nat Sciver-Brunt, one of England's greats, really coming to the middle and having a tumble on the ground before facing her first ball. It's dragged down from Gardner, clipped away on the onside. Shoot at deep square fields, and Sciver-Brunt is off the mark. End of the power play. 36 for 2 England, and back to Elliot Lords.
Well, Ben Duckett is still there, because as he took the catch, Mitchell Starc had the ball in his hand. He had it firmly grasped in his hand, but as he slid on his knees, he also slid the ball across the ground as well. I mean, there has been quite a lot of discussion about whether you have to be in control of the ball, because for grounding, it's been an issue. It's a bit like rugby. Nobody seems to really know what the rule is, but Glenn McGrath just said on commentary on TMS that it's a disgrace. He said if that catch doesn't count, then no catch in the history of cricket should count. I suspect you might be hearing more about this.
Goodness, so plenty happening here 36 for 2 England, end of the power play. Of course, if you want to watch highlights of the Ashes at Lord's today at the Test, will be available on the iPlayer this evening. See more of that Ben Duckett alleged catch there as Brown is continuing into her third over now. She's just gone for the 10 runs off her 2 so far. Bowling to Siva Brunt, who's gliding the ball past point. There's a misfield, allowing England to scamper through for a quick single. Score moves on to 37 for 2. We've been hearing some bangs in the background, Anya. Has anyone set off some fireworks?
I was wondering what was going on. I'm not a big fan of daytime fireworks. I don't think they quite have the same effect.
They don't. Maybe the Holly stand to our right is getting a little bit rowdy and we've got some flares going off. Hopefully not yet. We're only 6 and a bit overs in. Save that for later. Brown bowls, back of length, swung away into the onside, and there's no fielder out at deep mid-wicket. 4 runs to Dunkley. She's out there in the middle, seeing the ball like a beach ball. She's 28 off 22, and England 41 for 2. Dunkley key here, Anya.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good shot from Sophia Dunkley. Watch her sometimes, she collapses that back leg when she plays shots, but she stayed up nice and tall and took that ball really early through kind of a straight mid-wicket.
Deep square, fine leg and third both back on the boundary in a deep cover, so no fielders down the ground. It's an option for Dunkley as Brown's bowling back of a length. It's a top edge flying down to deep third, fielder underneath it, falls short, or did that carry? Either way, Dunkley gets through for a single. It was a fantastic effort from the fielder at deep third to make her ground, and it's Georgia Wareham. She looks frustrated.
I didn't think that carried. Georgia Wareham's an exceptional fielder. I didn't think it carried. If it did, it was an exceptionally difficult catch.
Of course, you can watch this game on BBC Two, and the picture feed does show that the catch didn't carry, and she actually did a brilliant job there, just getting her body behind the bounce and stopping the ball from going past her. England fielders just coming together in the middle as it looks like Georgia Wareham is just getting a bit of treatment from the Australian physio who's run onto the pitch.
I think it might have just hit her in the face.
So we had a concussion test.
She's checking looks like she's just checking she got all her teeth in there.
Well, there was that moment in the men's test yesterday where Stuart Broad got a particularly nasty bouncer to almost the cheek, and you could see him in the stump mic and hear him go, I think a tooth's gone wobbly. So I'm not sure whether Stuart Broad was visited by the Tooth Fairy last night. Now that would be an exclusive. 42 for 2 England.
Surely he still only gets £1 though. That's the rule, isn't it? £1 from the Tooth Fairy.
Was it?
That's what it used to be when I was a child.
Oh, inflation.
It's 100 now.
Brown over the wicket, full delivery, driven gloriously by Siva Brunt, but there's protection in the deep for Australia. It will just be a single. The score moves on to 43 for 2. And interestingly enough, I was looking into England's kind of power plays during the World Cup, and England scored at 9.13 runs per over in the power play during the T20 World Cup. It was the highest, is well above Australia, who went around 6.6. So England have shown they're prepared to be aggressive early on. It's just whether they can keep this momentum going. Brown making a few adjustments in the field as she pushes her deep fine leg, a little bit wider. She's charging in now, bowling to Dunkley, who's driving straight to mid-on. Another slight misfield, but not costly for Australia. Dot ball.
Dunkley's hitting the ball really well here. I sometimes think that's going to sound like a really silly thing to say, but she tries to hit the ball too hard, loses her shape a little bit sometimes, and mid-on and mid-off up, she just needs to clear them.
As Brown past the umpire, shorter ball, flat batted by Dunkley, who takes on the quick single. Fielder at mid-on takes a tumble, prevents the boundary, single taken. 44 for 2 England after 7 overs, as well as being able to watch this evening's game on BBC Two and the iPlayer. You can catch in-game highlights on the BBC Sport website and app. You can hear the roars of the crowd here at Edgbaston. I mean, Anya, these kind of crowds, you know, we've spoken about it a lot, but even as a fan of the game, I arrive and I see the queues outside, and it fills me with such a proud kind of feeling. How would it feel for you?
Yeah, it's amazing just to see how far the women's game has come, and like this crowd here, they're very vocal, making a lot of noise. Even sat in the commentary box, you can really hear them. So I can't imagine what it must feel like for both teams out in the middle. And this is what we want. This is what both teams want. They want to play in front of crowds and all of those sorts of things. So it's just amazing to kind of sit here and watch.
Maybe just a few nice memories of the 2017 World Cup as well. Full crowd there at Lord's as Jonason's into the attack with a drag down to kick things off. It's pulled into the onside by Siva Brunt, and England racing back for 2 runs. It's good running. They bisected those fielders on the onside. It's big boundaries here at Edgbaston and positive stuff. Apologies, that was Dunkley who played that shot. 46 for 2. It's Jonason with her spin, bowls a straighter delivery, back of the length still, and enables Dunkley to rock back and punch it down the ground. More leisurely single taken this time, 47 for 2. And of course, the reputation at Edgbaston is you don't want to be an opposition fielder in front of the Hollies stand. We've just seen the deep cover being brought up inside the ring. They're probably breathing a deep sigh of relief there, actually. As Jonason into Siva Brunt. Fuller ball, reverse paddle over the head of point. 1 bounce, 2 banks for innovation from Siva Brunt. She got a good piece of that one, and it brings up England's 50, 51 for 2 off 7.3 overs. I mean, that's the Nat Siva Brunt we've seen these last few years.
I think reverse paddle probably didn't do it justice. It bounced once, maybe twice before going over the rope. It just shows the immense amount of power that she has, that she's able to reverse her hands and 1 bounce 4.
Reverse scoop almost, as this one's flat batted straight to mid-wicket, contemplating a single there, England, and Siva Brunt, who thought she'd beaten the fielder, just sent back by Dunkley at the non-striker's end. It was very Joe Root in its execution. I'm not sure Nat Siva Brunt would have been prepared to play on her first delivery she faced, but she's only been out there for 5. Jonason, fuller ball, swung down the ground in the air, fielder out at deep mid-wicket, catch taken. And it's Nat Siva Brunt, the 3rd wicket to fall for England, looking to play the big heave into the onside. And the fielder barely had to move. Australia, big grins on the faces of the Aussie players. Just feel now, England 3 down. Nat Siva Brunt, Anya, is a big wicket to fall for England here.
She's a huge wicket. It was a brilliant bit of captaincy by Lisa Healy, actually. I've watched her. She moved the mid-wicket in the ring to point, but she moved that deep mid-wicket quite a lot straighter than you might ordinarily expect them to be. Nat Siva's exception at hitting the ball into that mid-wicket pocket. She got that mid-wicket straighter, and Nat Siva Brunt picked her out perfectly, and that could be a huge moment in this game.
It's Georgia Wareham with the catch again, who had just a few overs previously charged in from deep third, thrown her body at the catch, and she's shown there what a brilliant outfielder she is. And again, it's Jonason picking up those wickets for Australia, and people unfamiliar with this Australian team. Jonason is a bowler used by Australia in those key moments, you feel, particularly at the death. You'll see her come on. She bowls a tight line, and I guess makes the England batters have to think of something a bit different to do. We saw there Nat Siva Brunt using her feet, trying to get to the pace of it. But it brings the captain, Heather Knight, out into the middle. And she'll have a big role here to support Sophia Dunkley. Dunkley 33 not out at the other end. Knight to face her first ball from Jonason. She just nudges it into the onside. And it's a dot ball to finish the over. 51 for 3 England. 8 overs. And we're going to head back to Ellie Oldroyd at Lord's for an update.
And close of play here, England are 114 for 4. We've seen 12 wickets in the day. So it's been a really eventful day's play here on day 4. England will need 257 more to win in the morning. But a lot of controversy still flying around over that Ben Duckett dismissal, which wasn't a dismissal. Mitchell Stark sliding the ball along the ground. So judged not to be in control of his body, even though he was in control of the ball. The Australians are not very happy about it, but Duckett is still there on 50, Stokes on 29, and England will resume in the morning, needing another 257 runs. Australia will need 6 more wickets to win.
And if you want to watch highlights of the Ashes at Lord's, Today at the Test will be available on the iPlayer this evening. 2 Ashes series this summer, both packed full of drama. And it'll be Darcy Brown into Dunkley, who's heaving that away on the onside. Doesn't get a good piece of it, and there's protection out at deep mid-wicket. Single taken. England move on to 52 for 3. And Anya, decision here to bowl Darcy Brown for her final over of the game so early on. Is this a unusual bit of captaincy here from Alyssa Healy?
I quite like it, actually. She's their kind of strike seamer, and I think she's not someone that they bowl particularly a lot at the death. They've got lots of other bowlers that will do that. So what they're doing is they're kind of going for the jugular here with England. They're thinking if they can get, particularly Heather Knight, or if they can get one more wicket with their strike bowler here, then they are well and truly on top. So I quite like this as a bit of captaincy.
And also Australia opting here to bring in a slip for captain Heather Knight. And that actually means that they've only got 3 fielders on the boundaries. They have the option to have another one back, but they're just choosing to squeeze here on the new batter. Brown bowling full, push to extra cover by Knight, no run. And of course they still have the leg spin of Georgia Wareham to come. She's been amazing in the field so far, and I guess is that almost a point of difference between the men's game and the women's game here, that you see a lot more spin at the death and in the latter stage of a T20?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, spin is a huge feature in the women's game.
As Brown past the stumps, bowls a little scoop shot attempted from Knight, and she gets a good piece of it down to the boundary for 4. Australia gave her that option there, pushed the fine leg a bit wider, and Knight takes on that shot, moves the score onto 56 for 3. She moves on to 4, and Dunkley at the other end on 34. It's a shot of confidence.
Yeah, it's really smart batting from Heather Knight. Australia won't mind it. I think they were encouraging her to try and do something like that, but it's a shot that Heather Knight's really comfortable playing. Plenty of pace on the ball, and all she had to do was get some contact on the ball, and it went away for 4.
As Brown slip goes out, it's a full toss, which Knight will be disappointed to miss out on. She finds the fielder at short mid-wicket. Throw comes in, smacks into Sophia Dunkley, charging towards the danger end. A single taken, 57 for 3. And I guess what you were saying, that with a bit more spin in the women's game, that get this pace out of the way, particularly as she has so much pace. All it takes is that little bit of bat and it will go flying down towards the boundary.
Yeah, and Australia have so many death options. Megan Schutt will bowl at the death.
As Brown, really short delivery, follows Dunkley there, who takes a big swipe, goes through to Healy behind the stumps, and it's signalled 1 for the over by umpire Sue Redfern.
I think that's something Australia are going to go to a lot this series against Sophia Dunkley. She likes to get on the front foot. She likes to come down the pitch. I don't think she's that comfortable against the short ball, so I think we'll see plenty of it.
As Brown, for the ball this time, lofted over the head of mid-on, but the fielder at deep mid-wicket is a bit straighter and manages to come round to her left, cut that one off. It's like fumble at the bowler's end from Brown, but she's completed her 4 overs, 0 for 25. And England 58 for 3. Thank you to Anya Shrubsole, World Cup winner 2017, Lord's final legend. We're rejoined by Georgia Elwes.
Hello.
What have you made of this, Georgia? I mean, we've had some drama, we've had some good batting, we've had some questionable batting, and I think that the thing which has stood out here almost, Alyssa Healy's captaincy and field placement.
It's been very good, hasn't it? They speak a lot about matchups, and I think that's what they've done really well here. Like Anya was saying, use the short ball, use the seam bowlers against Dunkley, and when Nat Siva-Brunt came in, they came on as well, and you've seen Georgia Wareham into the attack for the first time tonight.
It's the leg spin of Wareham taking the ball away from the right-handed Dunkley. It's a loosener first up, which Dunkley has no hesitation in pulling away to the boundary for 4. Wareham quite hard to get ready and loose as a leg spinner. We saw her there just blowing into her hands, trying to warm up those fingers, and England move on to 62 for 3.
It does look windy out there as well, doesn't it?
Well, you're the local expert. What's the weather going to be like this evening, as this one's flighted from Wareham in a better area, can only be flicked out to deep mid-wicket by Dunkley. She picks up a single, moves on to 40. England 63 for 3. Do you have local sources, people who message you and say the birds were flying this way, which means rain at exactly
No.
8:37?
I can't say I do, I'm afraid. I just go off what the clouds look like, what the outlook looks like, and my weather app, really.
The modern woman. As Wareham in tonight, reverse sweep past the fielder at point and running round at deep cover. It's Megan Shoot. Single taken. 64 for 3 now. And they're going along at a run rate of around 6.75 here, England. So at this kind of level, as we near this halfway point, Georgia, what kind of score do you think England are going to be looking for? We'll hear your answer in a second as Wareham bowls that one down the leg side. Signalled wide by umpire Anna Harris.
I think they'll need at least 150. So I think these two can build a little partnership, and then we have some explosive fireworks at the end. We could get there.
Wareham tosses this one up. It's drilled down the ground by Dunkley, who's using her feet. Runs the first one hard. Finds the fielder, so won't come back for a second. 66 for 3 now, England. Well, in their history of playing against each other, these two teams, Australia played 50, 141. As coming down the pitch is Knight, dropping this one into the onside. They run the first one hard again. Knight looks to come back and sent back by her partner at the crease. Dunkley just wants the strike for the final ball of this Wareham over. So yeah, England and Australia, since the start of 2018, Australia played 50, 141, lost 7. Wareham outside the off stump, misses out on that one as Dunkley. She's frustrated in herself. It was there to be cut, and it finishes the 10th over at the halfway stage. England 67 for 3. Of course, Australia winning the toss, electing to bowl first. A few drinks run on for the players. A few more thoughts from you, Georgia Elwes, and then it'll be Daniel Norcross.
Yeah, England be okay, I think, with the position that they're in at the moment. Dunkley going well on 41 out there, looking to hit the ball hard, and joined by her captain Heather Knight. I didn't think it was warm enough to have a drinks break, but they are. They're just having a reassessment, and I suppose it'll give them a good opportunity to have a chat, both sides, and assess where they are at the moment in this game. It looks a good wicket. The outfield looks quick, although it's quite big, isn't it? It's a big ground, and I think Heather Knight is probably one of the slower ones of the England batters, and the twos have been a little bit harder to come by in the last few overs since she's been out there. So maybe that'll be a feature through this middle part of the game. They're going to have to look to find the boundary a little bit more.
Oh, don't say that, because then we're moving into Charlotte Edwards territory in 2016. Do you remember when the end of her captaincy was really brought about by her inability to run twos in India? You may recall. There's 8 to 5 live, and it's the Women's Ashes, first T20, the first of 3 T20s, followed by 3 one-day internationals in this multi-format series, with Australia 4 points to 0 up, having won the first test match, which you get 4 points, 2 points for each subsequent short form game. So England really do need to win this game. If they don't, Australia can't win the Ashes today, let's be clear. But if they don't win this game, then England will have to win the remaining 5 in order to regain those Ashes. And so far today, Australia won the toss, put England in. England got off to quite a bright start. Danny Wyatt, though, was first to go, looking to drive up and over extra cover. Lost her off stump to Megan Shoot. Earlier, she had been bowled, but the bail jumped up out of the groove and then jumped back down again. It was a most extraordinary sight of a rapid delivery from Darcy Brown. Next to go was Alice Capsey, who has, I'm afraid to say, only herself to blame. We thought that she grounded her bat, but it turned out that she hadn't. She hit the ball back to the bowler, and she had plenty of time to get back in, but she rather dawdled, and in putting her bat back, she didn't get there quite in time. Direct hit from Brown, who was very aware of the match situation. And then last to go, Nat Silverbrunt, who hit a wonderful reverse sweep for a 1 bounce 4, but then found the boundaries just a little too long and was caught at long on for 7. So England 67 for 3, 10 overs in. First ball of the 11th over is swept round the corner. They'll pick up 1, and Knight wants a second rather ambitiously after Georgia Elwes has suggested she may not be the most nimble between the wickets. And 1 more to the total, 68 for 3. Knight moves to 8. All the while, Sophia Dunkley has been going, well, aggressively, not always quite pulling off the shots she's trying, but They're up against some very good bowlers here. As Annabelle Sutherland, who bowled so well in the Test match, comes in again. Short, and that's slapped up to mid-off. Shy at the stumps, is a long way wide, and as a result, Dunkley's able to get home safely at the non-striker's end. Goes to 42.69 for 3. It's all a bit helter-skelter in T20. If you're not familiar with it, listeners to 5 Live, 20 overs per side. It's the shortest format that we have in cricket. And you really don't have a great deal of time to breathe between deliveries as Sutherland runs in to Heather Knight, who sweeps at this, gets very little on it. It runs away back to a square on the onside. Alyssa Healy, the keeper, has to run after it, and they come through for a leg bye that's so elegantly signalled by umpire Sue. 70 for 3. 42 to Dunkley, 8 to Knight. The matches, stumps have been drawn at Lords, by the way, if you're asking. There's a bit of controversy today. Short, pulled out towards deep mid-wicket. One bounce. Well fielded in the end by Mooney, who just waited for it to bounce, had followed its trajectory into her hands. Just another single. Firmly struck by Dunkley. She's timing it nicely here, Georgia Elwes.
She is. They've employed this shorter ball tactic against, haven't they? Anya Shrubsole was talking and saying that she doesn't think she's as comfortable against the shorter ball. She's got this almost tennis shot, hasn't she? Of a pull shot. Swats it down and still hits it hard.
Knight on strike. 4 in the ring on the offside, just 1 on the leg side. This is punched off the back foot into the covers. There's no run. In women's T20, only 4 players have to be out on the boundary, different from men's T20. So, in theory, there are more boundary gaps to be found. And the boundary riders at the moment are at quite a fine deep third. There's a fine leg, deep square leg, and a deep mid-wicket. So mid-on and mid-off are up inside the circle. Sutherland will therefore, you'd think, be bowling it into the pitch, not allowing any drive balls for Knight to loft back overhead. This is a bit leg-sidey and comes off pad and rolls again back to the square for what will probably be another elegantly signalled leg by. It is. I tell you, umpire Sue's very good on one leg. At the end of the over, 11 gone. England are 72 for 3. Georgia, are you departing? You are.
I'm off.
Hey, it's Catherine Sybil-Brunt.
Hello.
Fresh from Ask Brunt in the Test match that we had.
Fresh. I wouldn't say that.
Well, you're given a proper grilling.
Oof. I
Hey,
was.
What have you made of this start?
It's been interesting. It was obviously very much our game, wasn't it? The first couple of overs was looking very promising for a nice high total, and then we had a couple of, dramas, didn't we? The old bold / not bold.
That was fun,
That
wasn't
was
it?
fun.
Yeah. Do you think Wyatt even knows this to this day?
She knows now, I promise you.
Start of a new over. First
Yeah.
ball is walloped back overhead, and that is 6. Great shot from Heather Knight. Superb use of the feet. Georgia Wareham tossed that ball up, and Knight got it right out of the meat of the bat and hit it as straight as a die. Goes into double figures. She has 14. England 78 for 3.
First 6 of the game. Couldn't
Nice.
have come soon enough. Love it.
What do you think England needed? It's quite a big old outfield. And watching Australia in the World T20, I'll come back to it in a moment as Wareham bowls her next ball. This is pushed into the offside. They get a single. She finds a gap between point and extra cover. 79 for 3. I felt that Australia didn't actually go that hard. They just went quite efficiently to around 150, 155, 160, didn't they? As Wareham is in. Dunkley comes down a wicket and what a brilliant stop from Georgia Wareham. The ball was driven firmly into the ground.
And we all thought it was a catch.
And know what you may have
Yeah,
done.
you did.
Wareham again bowls a shorter ball that's pulled out towards deep mid-wicket. I thought I would have got away with that,
Would have been a great catch.
For
Would
a
have taken my
single.
teeth out.
It was a bit like Joe Root on this very ground last week off Alex Carey. It was hit very firmly.
You
and
don't drop them, do you?
No.
Unless you want no teeth.
No teeth.
So you must catch it.
Funny to say that. That's how my grandfather lost all his teeth.
Oh,
Down the wicket comes
God.
Knight, drives to extra cover for 4. Really good shot along the ground, made all the more difficult by the fact that there are 3 fielders in the ring on the offside. And threading that between 2 of them was not easy.
no, she had to sort of take the brakes off coming down then. She found she wasn't quite there to hit that for the maximum, so she just opened her face and guided that beautifully between cover and extra.
Beautifully.
Beautifully.
Sounded a bit like Pommy and Bangor there. So the next ball is down the leg side, whipped away out to deep backward square leg for a single. 85 for 3.
Don't want to talk too soon, but Heather's looking rather comfortable at the crease, showing a bit of aggression, a bit of class, manipulating the gaps. Like she's definitely playing a captain's knock thus far and playing well alongside Sophia. This is exactly what Sophia needs to be able to change gears, because of, as we've seen, not that she's battered badly, it's not. She's doing what she can. It's that they've bowled well, knowing her. They've set the right fields, they've got the right plans, and not let her get away, but she's still managing to, score at a good rate. She's 44 of 38, so this is a great little partnership here, and we must extend this if we're wanting to reach that, total of around 160, which would be very competitive against this team today.
12 overs gone, 85 for 3. Start of the 13th over, and the first delivery dabbed into the offside, and they scurry through for a quick single. It was a bit short, and just dabbed with soft hands. Knight moves to 21. 86 for 3. Highlights of this match, well, you can watch it right now, actually. BBC 2. You can watch this live if you wish, where Catherine has been commentating. But now, if you're a big fan of Catherine, just move over to the radio. Stay here. But, BBC 2 has got it. You can watch it on the iPlayer, and there are in-play clips and highlights on the BBC Sport website and app for this match. As Sutherland is in, right arm over, down the leg side, hoiked out towards deep square leg. One bounce, and fielded out there in front of the Hollies stand. Just a single.
Thought she got down on one knee and swept that almost to deep backward square, but no. I think that I'm liking from Annabelle compared to all the other bowlers. She's prepared to take the pace off the ball. She's the only one bowling these slow balls now, along with her bouncers.
And into the pitch with mid-on and mid-off up. Short again. And Knight can't get hold of that. Gets in a bit of a tangle. But this is really good bowling to her field, isn't it, Catherine? Because with deep mid-wicket, deep square leg and a long leg, 3 fielders in effect out on the leg side.
Correct.
If she bowls short, she's got protection. Mid-on, mid-off up. It's hard to drive her.
And if she wants to bowl a slow ball, she can just drop mid-on back and bring, third or fine up, depending on what she wants to do.
Sutherland in, 4 in the ring on the offside. And, swept. Flicked this away nicely, Knight, but she can't beat long leg.
She's frustrated with herself there. She wanted full matching. I think she wanted 6 for that.
Yeah, but there are gaps between the 3, but they're very well placed. And now long on's gone back. This is intriguing.
Yeah,
so thirds come up. Can Dunkley play this?
I think this is a cross between a bouncer or a slow ball for sure.
Sutherland in, short, top edge. That's not a bad place to put it. If it lands safely, it does, and it skips on, and it's going to be 4. Wow. This crowd love that. Have I got time to describe it? Short
Annabelle
ball.
doesn't like it.
Short ball pulled at, top edge and high in the air. What happens often with those sort of shots, you impart spin on the ball, so when it bounced, Builder at long leg came running in for it. It's bounced in front of her.
It's done her all over.
And then it's sped away. It's Darcy Brown,
It
bless her.
happens to the best of us.
And then she's got a finger on it, and all she can do is redirect it onto the boundary sponge at almost at backstop by the time it hit the boundary. 4 runs to Dunkley. She goes to 49. 92 for 3 England. And, I think that's come off a bit of pad going down the leg side. Might otherwise have been a wide, but Sutherland gets away with it. She's only conceded 10 from her first 2 overs in England after 13 and 92 for 3.
Yeah, and she shouldn't have gone for that many either. I think the way she's constructing her overs is much better from her these days. The Annabelle of old I played a few years ago with her at Melbourne Stars, and she wasn't constructing overs as well as this, and she's showing a bit of maturity now, even though she's a whole heap of only 21 or something, which is mental. So
the strength in Australia's cricket is legion, but in having these medium quick bowling all-rounders who are proper batters as well. Sutherland got 100 in a test match.
But she's so skillful.
Talia McGrath. Everyone would walk into the England team. A reverse paddle comes off Heather Knight's behind and just rolls.
Often the only time she misses that is when it's going down, isn't it?
Yeah.
I just get a bit nervous.
Well, you can see why she did a reverse sweep, because there's nobody out on the boundary at backward point. There's Jess Jonathan, left arm round the wicket bowls, and Dunkley doesn't play that shot so often, taps the ball into the onside, gets the single that brings up her half century. It's come from 42 balls. She raised the bat and the crowd are standing. It's a wonderful sight, Edgbaston, today for a women's T20 international. I would say we're about 9/10 or 8/10 full. It's a really terrific spectacle.
So a third 50 in 45 games, so and a well-timed one, much needed.
Jonathan in, this is flicked away by Knight up towards deep mid-wicket. They'll think about a second. Oh, she wanted it, did Knight, but sent back by Dunkley. We welcome listeners to 5 Sports Extra and to ABC with the news that England, after 13.5 overs and 95 for 3, having been put into bat. Dunkley has 50, Knight 24. Some big boundaries here. We've not seen just a 1-6. Dunkley goes for a big heave and manages to get this out to deep mid-wicket. She's having struggles, is Dunkley.
Her head nearly flew off then, didn't it? But at least if she'd have contacted, it would have gone back to, where were they last? Trent Bridge. They would have had to go back there for that.
Well, that helmet always looks like it's going to come off at any moment.
They did what? The BT played a VT.
BT played a VT.
VT. That's a good line, isn't it?
Not bad. Jonathan is going around over the wicket, I beg your pardon, to the right-handed Knight who sweeps. I got everything wrong there. And it goes to short fine leg for another single. 97 for 3.
They played one where you sort of discuss your teammates and who does what, and they described Sophia's wonky helmet.
Jonathan's round the wicket to Dunkley, taps it into the onside again. They go through a quick single, shy of the stumps, misses. That could have been out. They won't get overthrows though, because Heather Knight had overrun at the non-striker's end. You have to finish that point, Catherine. 98 for 3 at the end of the 14th.
It is. It's great. I loved it, that VT. It's describing people and tennis swat shots over the shoulder. Sophia's swinging like tremendous swings that do waft her helmet in crazy directions. That's what she's known for now. Wonky helmet.
Other cricket broadcasting networks are available, including the BBC, for whom you are working today, Catherine, next door.
Whoops, I've been stitched up.
Dunkley 52, Knight 25. As Catherine, are you leaving us or are you staying? It's entirely up to you.
She doesn't want to go, does she? Yeah.
No, she doesn't have to go.
Oh, I've got to go now. You've just abused me.
I didn't
don't feel
abuse
welcome.
you.
All right, I'll stay a little bit longer.
I've only got one over left, Catherine, so you'll be fine. Melissa will come in a minute.
I'll stay for this because it's McGrath versus an in Sophia.
Talia McGrath, not Glenn, into the attack. A swing and a miss. Through to the keeper, no run. By the way, go and check out TMS's Twitter feed if you want to see what an incandescent Glenn McGrath looks like. That's really funny. But Talia McGrath, well, she bowled a magnificent spell in the test match at Trent Bridge. Didn't get a lot of luck, only picked up the 1 wicket as Ash Gardner picked up 8 at the other end. But she can move the ball both ways. As this ball is crunched up and over the covers, I don't think it'll make it to the boundary, but it's an intelligent shot from Dunkley because the field up on the offside. There are gaps up and over. She picks up a couple. And the England's 100 is up. 100 for 3.
I've
Dunkley
seen
54.
Sophia try and hit the ball over mid-on or mid-off for 45 balls now.
Yeah.
And even that one was spewed, I think, squarely over. Spewed.
Right. Not even skewed, it's spewed.
Spewed and skewed.
McGrath in, slower ball, pulled out towards deep mid-wicket. Really well set field. Australia have got with 4 out on the leg side. 5 up inside the ring on the offside. 101 for 3.
I think she's maybe guilty of a little bit of what I used to do, and that's swing too hard.
Yes.
She could just take a little bit off because she's got a very good bat. That'll do half the job. Mine were rubbish.
It's a funny old thing, isn't it? 55 or 47, but she's never quite looked in, Georgia.
Yeah, Catherine said at times just looking to overhit. The pitch is a little bit slower than she thought, and the outfield is very big.
Now fine legs come up and the deep extra cover's gone out. So Dunkley goes over fine leg. Really clever batting and picks up 4. That bounced about 4 yards inside the boundary and she got hold of it terrifically. Moved across her stumps. It was Heather Knight, I beg your pardon. And she's whacked it away over fine leg.
She was eyeing that up.
105 for 3.
She did that on purpose, premeditated. She saw the fielder come up and she's manipulated that round the corner nicely.
She's
One
looking
bounce.
rather sumptuous touch, I'd say, the England
She is.
captain.
She's looking confident. That's a confident shot, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're obviously stepping across all three, and
Well, it exposes your teeth a bit, doesn't it?
it does. Luckily, the helmet helps.
It does. McGrath in once more. Now that's down the leg side and wide will be signalled. And Catherine, you sounded very much. Like
I was
you were
in pain
performing.
for Healy. She hurt her hand in the test match. I don't know if you saw, and she kept getting whacked on the end of the hand. She's wafting it up and down. Someone says she got 2 fractures.
Really?
Or someone here has got 2 fractures on each hand. One on each hand. I think it's both her index fingers.
McGrath has been hoiked up in the air. It should be taken and will be by Annabelle Sutherland. That is the end of Knight. Looking to clear the long boundary at long on. She didn't quite get hold of it, but Knight departs. She just have a little tap of the bat to Sophia Dunkley to say, keep going, you're going fine. England lose their 4th wicket with 31 balls remaining in the innings. A good contribution from England's captain Heather Knight. 29 from 22. She'll be disappointed she didn't quite get more on that, but was caught about 4 yards inside the boundary very comfortably by the safe hands of Annabelle Sutherland. And Knight leaves to warm applause. I cannot believe that I'm sat in a room with Catherine Brunt expressing sympathy, but not just an Australian, but the Australian captain,
I know.
the keeper who would have whittered away at you while you were
Very
batting.
annoying.
She's what now? This is more
More
like
ways
it.
than one, yes.
This is more like the Catherine
feel
Sibber
like-
Brunt we know.
That's the one person who I've headbutted the most.
Okay,
Not in real life, actual physical.
Right, but what's in your imagination?
Yeah. All right, I'll change my line. Butted heads with.
That's more like
There
it.
you go.
Yes, thank you.
That's
Yes.
the old saying. Yeah,
Good
caused me
grief.
the most headaches, not through actual physical headbutting, but through battles and
Through battles, yeah.
words of many strange words.
Well,
Because
many-
banter can either be great or really terrible, because you just...
Well, they're
like,
Australian,
blah,
aren't
blah,
they?
blah, and he's like, well,
Yeah.
you're rubbish. And it just gets rubbish.
Too
And now
tame.
they have stump mics, we don't say anything, because you get level 1s.
Last ball of the 15th over is worked up to long on by Amy Jones, England's wicket keeper, who's come in at number 6. She's off the mark straight away. A successful over for Australia and McGrath. She's picked up 1 for 9 in that over. England after 15, 107 for 4. Dunkley 55. Jones 1. More from Georgia Elwis. And then to take you through to the end of England's innings, it will be Melissa Story.
Yeah, a shame that the Knight was dismissed in that previous over, because there was a good little partnership forming, and with 5 overs to go now, Jones can't settle. Can't take too long at the crease before she finds her feet. Dunkley's going along nicely. He'll run well between the wickets, these two, and it's a ground Amy Jones knows very well.
Hello, Georgia.
Hello, Mel.
That was an eventful 5 minutes of commentary discovering that Catherine Sibber-Brunt may have headbutted Australian players. Jonathan bowling, flicked off the pads by Jones, out into the onside. They're running the first one hard, and Dunkley comes back for the second one. Throw comes into Jones's end. She makes it comfortably. In the end, score moves on to 109 for 4. And Jones, who's under a little bit of pressure, I guess, in England colours. You mentioned this is her home ground, and she's done quite well in domestic cricket over these last few years. But in terms of her stats against Australia, as this one's defended cautiously back to Jonathan, she averages around 9 against Australia in T20. So she just has a bit of time here. There's a bit of pressure because it's the end of the innings, or getting round to. Jonathan bowling, reverse paddle, drops just short of the fielder, and there could be a chance of a run out of the non-strikers. And actually, in that moment there, we were transported back to 2019 at Headingley, and Nathan Lyon dropping the ball in that run out of Jack Leach. It was almost identical. It was a reverse sweep, apologies, not that reverse paddle. Went a bit more square, found the fielder at point who anticipated that one. Jonathan bowls, heaved down the ground by Dunkley. Good bit of work from the long on fielder. Single taken, 111 for 4. Of course, we're here at Edgbaston, first T20 in the women's Ashes. Australia picked up 4 crucial points last week at the test match, the one and only test match. And Melissa Story next to me, Georgia Elwis. Another reverse sweep, and this time over the head of the point fielder, racing down towards the boundary in front of the Hollies. And Jones bringing out the reverse sweep here now too. These England players are just so confident in playing those reverse sweeps and innovative shots, Georgia. I mean, it's ingrained, it must be at that domestic level early on now, and the players seem just so confident in playing it.
Yeah, look, it's a shot I think you need to have now. It's very often the area where all the fielders are up inside that offside circle. Your only chance for a boundary.
Jonathan coming around the wicket. They're appealing for LBW. The ball's going down to the boundary. Finger goes up. Amy Jones is having a word with umpire Anna Harris. She's immediately reviewed it. She was pointing towards her bat there. Jones, I mean, the sign for England here is that Jones just set off for the single straight away. The ball went fine down past the keeper and England ran through. So we're going to see now whether, as Amy Jones thinks, there was a bit of bat involved. What are your first thoughts, Georgia?
Yeah, I think Amy Jones is one of those very honest cricketers. She only really goes up behind the stumps if she thinks it's a genuine edge, and she immediately reviewed this. I think she's got some sort of bat or glove. Yeah, I think that's glove. I think it's only glove. I'm not sure if it actually hits the pad at all. It's quite close to being pitching outside leg stump as well, with Jonathan coming over the wicket. But I think she's got a lot of glove on that. Oh, bat, yeah, big bit of bat.
I think she has been rather successful there, and Amy Jones, in using the instrument she is meant to use to hit the ball and hitting it. I mean, as you say, also there's a bit of danger of pitching outside the leg stump. Jess Jonathan, the bowler, has got a big smile on her face. Amy Jones was quick to review that one, as we can tell now why. But she looks determined out there, and with Sophia Dunkley set at the crease, all the players are just stood around in front of us now as the Australians are now waiting for confirmation. There's confirmation on ultra edge here that the ball just tickled the face of Amy Jones's bat. I'm not quite sure why all the players are standing about here. They're just returning to their fielding positions in the end.
Well, they're wondering if the single still counts. Amy Jones has gone back to the striker's end. It's the end of the over as well. Everyone's a little bit confused, but I don't think she gets the run for that now, does she?
No, I mean, dead ball. Jones stopped before getting to the crease at the non-striker's end. And what another strange moment in this game. You often talk that the T20s are the shortest format. It's, not much space for a bit of nonsense, but it's cricket. There's always a bit of time for some nonsense. 115 for 4, the score here now. And as we saw the miniature car bring out the ball at the start of the game, we've also now got some T-shirts being thrown into the crowd who seem very keen to get their hands on one of those. Megan Shute is back into the attack. She's bowled 2 overs, 1 for 12. And England's current projected score, 144 if they keep going at their current rate, which is just over 7 and over. Shute bowls over the wicket, slower ball heaved up in the air, taken at short third. Simple catch in the end, and it's Dunkley gone. Massive blow for England with just 4 overs left. Simple catch in the end, dollying up. Megan Shute, so experienced, just taking the pace off the ball. Another well-disguised cutter, and Dunkley just threw the kitchen sink at that one. Simple catch in the end for Darcy Brown. And well, Dunkley, as she trudges off the pitch, as the crowd on their feet here at Edgbaston appreciate that innings. 56 off 49 balls. And it will bring, well, Danny Gibson out to the middle for England on debut. And what an opportunity she has now. Have you played that much with Danny Gibson, Georgia?
A little bit. Met her properly for the first time last summer, and she's a really nice girl, works really hard at her game, and she absolutely whacks it. She's one of the cleanest strikers of the ball in the women's game in England, certainly. And she bowls some really nice medium pace seam as well. So she's a really exciting talent. It's great that she's got her opportunity here. Megan Shute, with all her experience, a really well disguised leg cutter, like you said, and that was the downfall of Dunkley. So Gibson's going to have to be on it, be watchful, and I assume she'll want to get the ball out into the outfield and get up and down the wicket to start with.
Well, she's been presented with an opportunity to get off the mark quite quickly, as every single fielder on the boundary for Australia on the leg side, so she can either pierce it through that offside or just drop and run. She's facing one of the best bowlers in women's cricket though. Shoot bowls, straight delivery. She pushes into the covers, and two fielders and dressed in bright yellow just join up together, and I think they've fielded the ball together. It's almost like holding hands and both agreeing to pick it up at the same time. Gibson taps her bat down as she waits for Shoot at the top of her mark. It's in past the umpire now. Bowling another slower ball. She drags it into the onside, picks up a single. And Danny Gibson on England debut is off the mark. It's in the middle with Amy Jones. Jones 8 off 6. So two relatively new batters to the crease here. And Australia will just be licking their lips, Georgia, and going, can we get another breakthrough? Field remains the same for Jones. A Shoot ponytail racing behind her, bowls outside the off stump, pace taken off it again, dragging it square of the wicket on the onside as Jones, and she's coming back for two. Throw comes in at the non-striker's end. Gibson makes it home, although I'm not too sure she knew what end the ball was coming in at, as she didn't quite manage to run her bat in. 2 runs picked up by England, 118 for 5.
I think had Alyssa Healy thrown at Amy Jones's end, then she would have been struggling. Danny Gibson had turned and gone. Amy Jones was still halfway down the wicket.
Shoot into Jones, who's delivered a nice Yorker in the end. You could just see her moving about in the crease there, trying to throw off Shoot. And I mean, you're both a batter and a bowler, Georgia. So
sometimes.
Do you find that the batter moving about in the crease trying to throw you off, does it actually throw you off? Or?
Yeah, it does. It's really annoying actually, and I bowl with a similar field to Megan Shoot here with the 3 out on the leg side, and quite often the batter moves to the leg side to give themselves the offside.
As Shoot, final ball of this over, bowls a ball down the leg side. It's fumbled by Healy. She makes a recovery, no signal from the umpire, so there must have been a bit of pad or bat on that one from Jones. The score for England, 118 for 5. Of course, this game also live on BBC iPlayer and BBC Two, so we'd love for you to stay here with us. So yeah, is it distracting then when you're running into bowl? Do you have one eye on the batter?
Yeah, massively. And sometimes it's worse when they do it for one ball and then not the next, because you sort of preempt that they will bowl the ball where you think they're going to be, and it can end up being a wide, and that makes you look really silly. But I'm quite surprised that Jones is going across to the offside with all the fielders inside the circle on the offside. The best chance of a boundary is trying to pierce the gap on the offside. I think she'd be giving herself room the other way.
Jonathan to Gibson. Bowling her spin, it's chipped in the air. Fielder running back at extra cover takes a simple catch. And Gibson's innings on debut is cut short. You can see what she was trying to do there, Georgia, as you were saying, opening up that offside. Didn't quite get the contact she desired. And it's 118 for 6 now, England. A bit of a wobble as they look to push to around that 150 mark you said. Gibson there will be a bit disappointed, but she is facing one of the best bowlers in the deaf with Jonathan.
Yeah, it's clever from Jonathan with all her experience. She's coming over the wicket, she's taking the pace off the ball. She knows with that offside up, that's where England are looking to target her, and so she's just not letting them with the pace that she's bowling and then the line that she's bowling. But a good effort from Gibson. She had to do that. She had to go after the Australian bowlers. And they've still got depth, this England batting lineup. You've got Eccleston in now, Glenn still to come. So they are good hitters of the ball. We've seen that before from them in T20 cricket. But they need to just steady the flow of wickets. And England, they'll be looking at 140 from here, I think. Just shy of 3 overs left. 118 for 6. They can get themselves to 145, 150. They'll feel like they've got something to defend.
We were showing a few graphics there of Sophie Eccleston's T20 career. Strikes at around 117, although her recent form's been good, as that's tickled down the leg side and she's gone. First ball, tame dismissal for Sophie Eccleston. She's really frustrated with herself here. Just looking to nurdle it round the corner. And Healy takes a good catch. Catherine Sciver-Brunt mentioned those fractured fingers. Well, it hasn't stopped her from picking up another wicket here. Jonathan, not her best delivery, but brilliant keeping. And all of a sudden, England just slipping away here, 118 for 7. And this crowd has gone awfully silent, Georgia.
Yeah. No, it's a brilliant take from Healy. She's unsighted for a large part of this. Jonathan's coming over the wicket. Eccleston is in her view, and it's a fantastic catch, moving down the leg side. 2 fractured fingers. Gets compared a lot to Amy Jones in the keeping stakes, and comes off second best, but that is a fantastic bit of glove work, and England really up against it now. Sarah Glenn striding to the crease. Probably still have been putting her pads on in the dugout, and in the space of 2 balls she's out there.
And Sarah Glenn, who's had a pretty good year so far, playing for the Blaze, the new team in the women's regional setup, who've replaced the Lightning. That name change seeming to do wonders for them in the Midlands. She's been handy in that lower middle order, and England will need her to do a job here. That run rate, which was just above 7, slipping down to 6.8. And we've got 16 deliveries left, I think. My maths isn't very good, Georgia. Jonathan, full, driven by Glenn, down to long off, and even the singles here just get a roar from the crowd. They want to see a bit of a fight back here from England. 119 for 7. I just worked out it's not 16. Oh, this is a shocker. This is why you need a calculator all the time. Down the leg side, swept just short of the fielder. That short, fine leg. And it's a dot ball.
14, isn't it?
So was I right?
17.4 overs gone.
I just had a voice in my ear saying 21. I thought my maths was bad, but not that bad. Down the leg side, swept in the air again, but there's a fielder out there that she doesn't have to move. Just waits for the ball to bobble into her hands. We've got a few looks going back to our producer Jamie here, because I know you were probably in school quite a while ago, but maybe it's time to go back for us to jam down into the onside by Glenn, and they're coming back for 2 here. England throw into Healy's end, and she's dropped it. Glenn makes her way home. Cheer from the crowd. A brilliant bit of keeping earlier in the oval, and they're over to dismiss Eccleston, and in the end misses out on that run out. The pressure getting to everyone out there in the middle. It's windy, the crowd is noisy, and there's 2 overs left here. England 122 for 7. And of course, women's series running parallel to the men's this year, and you can take the Ashes with you this summer on BBC Sounds, live commentary on the app, as well as all our podcasts, including the Ashes Daily and No Balls of Alex Hartley and Kate Cross. Alex Hartley over on BBC 2 at the moment. Megan Shute, her final over in the innings. It's full, driven straight to cover, and Jones there will be thinking she got a real good piece of that one.
Yeah, that was unlucky. That's what I wanted to see from Jones in the previous over, giving herself a little bit of room and open up that offside, access the boundaries that way.
She's listening to you. She's got the walkie-talkie. Shoot past the umpire. It's swung over the head of mid-off by Jones. She gets it over that inner ring. Brings up a crucial boundary for England. The pyrotechnics around the ground go up, flames. And it will just spur on Amy Jones. She knows she's the senior batter out there. Using her feet, accessing down the ground. You can hear the Barmy Army chants now joining in as England fighting against Australia here. Swung in the air on the onside. It's dropped at mid-wicket in front of the Hollies. England come back for 2 runs. And it's carnage out there. Georgia Wareham, who's been brilliant in the field so far. It was a tough catch. Running round to her left. And the crowd deafening now. I mean, the pressure there on Wareham, Georgia. Quite a tough catch to take, but she would have backed herself to take that one. Shoot in again to Jones, stepping into the offside, swinging away in the air, fielder out there, it doesn't matter. 6 runs. And Amy Jones here is on fire. She moves on to 23 off 15. And it's That's a big boundary out there to the Hollies, Georgia. What a swing.
It is. She's absolutely crunched that. Brilliant shot. She's moving around, like you said, making it difficult for Megan Shute to settle. I thought she'd hit that straight down Georgia Wareham's throat, but it goes a good metre over her head and straight into the Hollies. Great shot.
Umpire Sue Redfern just getting back into position here as Shute. It's 3 balls left to bowl. It's full again. It's drilled past her. Fielder at long on racing in to keep this down to just a single, but Sarah Glenn's coming back and she makes it home. The throw there into Megan Shute, just not quick enough, not accurate enough, and Sarah Glenn playing that supporting role knows that she's got to get back. England 136 for 7 now. 1 ball left in this penultimate over. Things are getting exciting. 136. We were saying around that 150 score. It's still in the game here for England. Shute. Yorker. Driven over the inner ring on the offside. Another boundary. Amy Jones. She's finding the gap. She's finding the middle of her bat. She's just finding a bit of hope here for England. 140 for 7. 6 balls to go in this innings. Just a reminder of what this means to England. Losing that test match last week. They're 4 points down in this women's Ashes series, and they need to win 5 of the 6 remaining games. So there's everything to fight for. Sarah Glenn here, Georgia. What's she got to do?
Oh, she's going to swing. Played a lot of hockey growing up. Fantastic hockey player. And she's going to use every bit of that hand-eye coordination that she's got, and she's going to give it a whack. At least she's going to try. I want to see her hit it hard into the outfield. If she's not going to go for 4, get Amy Jones back on strike.
It's Ash Gardner to bowl the final over for Australia. It's a flat delivery, swung up in the air, out to deep mid-wicket, falls short of the fielder. And Glenn, who came back, always looking for that second run. Amy Jones had her back turned. She was going, well done, mate. You've done your job. You've got the single. Now stay down at that end. Get ready to run.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Glennie wanted the strike, to be fair to her, didn't she? She fancies a bit of this last over. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some reverse sweeps over this offside now from Amy Jones.
Tight offside field. Everyone back on the onside. It's a reverse paddle attempted and an appeal from Alyssa Healy behind the stumps. It was a flatter, shorter delivery from Garner, as you say. Georgia, it looked like she anticipated what Jones was going to do there. It's either take on those boundary riders on the onside, try and pierce one of those gaps, or as you say, give herself a way to get it through that offside. The fielders there are prowling as Gardner into Jones, coming down the pitch, swatting the ball down to long on. She runs the first one hard, and England settle on just the single. While Sarah Glenn, she'll be happy to know she's back on strike. And just 3 balls remaining in England's innings. 142 for 7. Gardner into Glenn. Flat, driven, straight to mid-off. England take on the single, and the fielder just gently returns the ball to Ash Gardner. Australia won't mind that. 143 for 7. And Jones, who's 30 off 19. She's got 2 balls hit. Gardner over the wicket, darts the ball in, and Jones, giving herself room, guides her over the offside, again over the heads of the fielders. Another 4. 147 for 7. Jones really has just been a lifesaver here for England, Georgia.
She's been brilliant ever since she's come to the crease. She's been busy. She's looked to use the crease to her advantage, not letting the bowlers settle. She's targeting the boundary where the fielders are up inside the circle. I think it's been absolutely brilliant from her.
For the final ball of this innings then, Ash Gardner choosing to come around the wicket, changing up this angle to Amy Jones. Here we go. She runs in, pulls out of the action. And you can hear what the crowd thought of that one, Georgia. I had flashbacks to Lord's last September. Gardner then, final ball to Jones. Flat one, pulled into the onside for 6. Amy Jones, her highest score in her 25 finishes England's innings with a 6. And 153 for 7, that final score. So Australia will need 154 to win. And really, at moments there, Georgia, it just looked like it was slipping away for England, but Amy Jones is probably going to be bombarded by her teammates as she makes her way off the pitch. Australia, looking at their body language here, Georgia, do you think they've just missed out on a bit of an opportunity to squeeze there, or do you think Amy Jones was just batting so freely she was a bit unstoppable?
Oh, it was brilliant batting, and I think, whatever she had whatever the bowler's plan was, she had something that could counteract it. So she stepped away outside leg stump there. Ash Gardner followed her, and she thought, right then, I'm just going to belt it into the leg side, and she is a clean striker of the ball. There's a long boundary out there, and she's managed to clear it with ease. And what it also has done is given England momentum coming into this innings break, and they will really feel in the game there. At points they could have been all out for 130, and then you think it's Australia's game, but they've got a chance here. I still think they're maybe 5 or 10 runs short, but they've got something to bowl at, and with this crowd behind them, that'll give them an extra lift as well.
We can see this all-female ground staff team getting out into the middle to work on the pitch. It really is a celebration of women in cricket here today at Edgbaston. Just to run you through this scorecard, 2 wickets fell in the power play for England. Danny Wyatt was bowled by Megan Shute, looking to play an expansive drive through the covers, and Alice Capsey was run out rather controversially in the end by an amazing bit of fielding from Darcy Brown. Nat Sivabrunt went for just 7. Heather Knight, 29 off 22, the England captain, put up a bit of resistance there. The star at the top of the order, eventually dismissed for 56, was Sophia Dunkley. 6 fours in that innings. Georgia, just how important really was that innings from Dunkley, particularly after maybe a bit of a tricky time in the test match last week?
Yeah, we've done her confidence the world of good. I think she plays in a certain way, and T20 really suits that style, and she batted really well. She saw her opening partner Danny Wyatt fall cheaply, and then Alice Capsey and Nat Sivabrunt also, and she sort of held the innings together while still being aggressive, and I thought that she really balanced that well, the balance between the aggression and just managing going through the gears, and she had a great partnership with Heather Knight as well. So she played really well. She'll be happy with it, and I think she probably didn't time the ball as well as I've seen her, but she managed to get 56 from just the 49 balls, and has played a really good hand for England.
And Amy Jones, of course, there at the end, not out on 40 off 21 balls for the Australians. Jess Jonathan, the pick of the bowlers, with 4 overs, 25 runs and 3 wickets. Well, it's going to be an exciting run chase for Australia. They need 154 to win. I'm Melissa Story. Next to me is Georgia Elwis. And well, it's been an exhilarating first innings, hasn't it, Georgia? The highlights for England: Sophia Dunkley at the top of the order, 56 off 49 balls, and Amy Jones in the end, 40 not out of just 21 balls, adding a bit of fire to England's later innings. And for Australia, Jess Jonathan starred with the ball, picking up 3 wickets. Megan Shute as well, chipping in with 2. We can see the players running back on the pitch. England in their bright red jerseys, and the 2 Australian openers, Beth Mooney and captain Alyssa Healy, in their glaring yellow kit. And Georgia, I'll let you describe how the ball's been brought onto the pitch, because it makes you very happy.
Oh, it's great, isn't it? The little pink car is out again. It's a bit bigger than a remote control car that I would have had as a child, but somebody's operating it from afar, and umpire Sue Redfern just picks up the ball off the top of it, and the players are all slightly bemused by that. It's right in the way of Lauren Bell at the moment, so she's just nearly taken out Heather Knight, and just reversing, doing 3-point turn, and off it goes off the pitch.
Well, I'm not sure the driver may have passed their driving test in that instance.
Well, look, the driver's actually the Vitality dog.
There we go. You should never give driving licences out to dogs, Georgia. Sophie Eccleston there for a moment also looked as if she was going to try and sit on the remote control car. So it's all happening out there in the middle. The England players seem to have got a bit of a boost, Georgia, from that total, because at some points in that innings, it just looked like things were slipping away for England. In fact, at one stage there, they were wow, 118 for 7.
Yeah, that was it, wasn't it? That was the wicket of Sophie Eccleston, and you thought, oh goodness, there's 16 balls left in the innings. What can they get up to now with just the 3 wickets in hand? So Amy Jones played a fantastic hand. She's given them momentum going into this innings. All the girls greeted her as she came off. They'll know how much that would have meant to her at her home ground, and it's given them something now to bowl at. I still think they're maybe a little bit below par, but with the crowd with them, if they strike early with the new ball, anything can happen.
Well, it's Lauren Bell, tall seam bowler for England, charging away from us, bowling to Alyssa Healy, who tickles it off her hip out to the deep square fielder for a single, and Australia have their first run on the board. Lauren Bell, one of your teammates down at the Southern Vipers, Georgia, who really just has burst into this England team in these last couple of years. And what kind of does she bring to this team with the ball for people who may not have watched her?
Well, she's tall, she's fast, and she swings it, she moves it. And under these lights here at Edgbaston, I would expect her to get a decent amount of swing, and she's got some fantastic slower balls as well at the death. So she's worked really hard at her death bowling, predominantly known for what she can do with the new ball. She's a great character as well. Absolutely loves charging in, bowling fast, doesn't stop talking. Loves her different hairstyles, and she's sporting the braids today, the plaits, I think.
Loves a good set of nails as well.
She loves, yeah.
Always got to match the nails to the kit. She's got deep fine leg, wide fine leg, and a deep point. Slip in play, short third, as Bell comes on the wicket, and it's defended by the left-handed Beth Mooney. 2 incredibly dangerous openers here for Australia. I mean, if you look at their lineup, they're all incredibly dangerous, similar to the kind of species you'd find in Australia as well. But in particular, Beth Mooney, arguably one of the best T20 players in the game at the moment.
Yeah, she's my favourite Australian player to watch. She's so consistent at the top of the order. She doesn't get the plaudits that the likes of Lanning, Healy, Perry do get.
As Bell charges in, tickled off the hip, and a great bit of work there at short fine legs. Sophia Dunkley there saves a boundary, as Mooney also gets her first runs on the board. No, she doesn't. Signalled leg byes in the end by umpire Sue Redfern. Australia's score moves on to stays on 1 for none. I think the 2 Australian batters, they almost met in the middle for a little while. Gives the illusion of a single's been taken, but the left-handed Mooney is still on strike. Bell bowls a full delivery, driven past the diving fielder at cover, away for 4. Just giving up on that chase there in the end. And Mooney, that's right in her arc, full delivery. She just leans on it. And it's a quick outfield here at Edgbaston. 5 for none. Of course, that target of 154. Beth Mooney as well. I saw something that she's able to sustain her kind of, strike rate, that run rate she goes at across each stage of the game. So even in those middle overs, she's still going at the same rate she would in the power play. As Bell's bowling outside the off stump, has a little fish at that one, does Mooney, and it goes through to Jones behind the stumps.
Yeah, it's a better length from Bell there. Fraction 2 full the ball before allowed Mooney to get her hands through it, but she's pulled the length back well there. A little waft really from Mooney, wasn't it? Dangerous shot.
What have you made of this pitch as well? We've seen, you mentioned England may just be 10 runs short, but it's looked decent. Good bit of carry from Lauren Bell here. She's in again outside the off stump, pushed on the back foot by Mooney out to deep point. She'll pick up a leisurely single, and after the first over the score 6 for none. Essentially, Georgia, would you like to be out there batting on this kind of surface?
I certainly would. You mentioned it's been prepared by an all-female ground staff for the first time. I have to commend Edgbaston for doing that, and they've done a great job. It's a fantastic surface. Looks like the outfield is maybe a little bit slow, but I can't tell whether that's just because the boundaries sizes are so big. We saw a lot of 2s run by England. I think we see the England outfield is actually Danny Gibson in that over. She was a good 5 to 10 yards inside the boundary, so that's something that they've recognised, that they need to be off the boundary rope. But yeah, the pitch is playing lovely, it's playing true. possibly a little on the slow side, as we've seen from pictures over the last few weeks, just because of the dry weather that we've had. But certainly the bounce is very true.
And it's Freya Davies who's back into this white ball team for England. Coming in from the City end. She's got a slip in place as well. So England just identifying here that they need to be a little bit attacking in this power play. And she's in around the wicket to Mooney, who's driving straight to the hands of extra cover. A good tumbling stop in the covers from England. Danny Wyatt there. A bit unusual to see Wyatt at that position. Almost she tends to be on the boundary, or at least at point.
Yeah, she usually is, but they're employing this tactic of a deep point to Beth Mooney, which I like. I think it's good, but it just means that Wyatt's inside the ring trying to prevent that little drop and run that Beth Mooney likes.
Davis running into Mooney, who heaves that one into the onside. It's not a pretty shot for sure, but she's going to pick up 2 runs for it. The fielder at deep wide, fine leg, has to run all the way around, gets the ball back into Amy Jones on the bounce. Australia's score moves on to 8 for none. Further 146 more runs required. And a brilliant crowd in Georgia, because I just saw on the big screen there's a group of gentlemen who are all dressed up as Mario. One of them seemed to have maybe pulled the short straw by dressing up as Princess Peach, but maybe he chose to do that. We don't know.
Love it. You get all sorts, don't you? Lots of families in, which is fantastic to see. Young girls being inspired, young boys being inspired. It's brilliant to see everybody coming to Edgbaston and getting behind the girls.
Davis into Mooney. Full ball driven to mid-on, where Eccleston fields. Those bright orange boots make her quite the easy fielder to identify. Almost blinding, he feels, when it gets a little bit darker later tonight and the floodlights come into full effect. It might be a tactic from England here, if we can blind the batters with Sophie Eccleston's shoes. Davis, back of a length, swung round the corner, fine, and a lot of work for the fielder to do, gives up on the chase. And Mooney there, making the most of Davis's line, just straying down on the leg side. The danger for England is that these two will just launch on anything slightly off their best from England. Score moves on to 12 for none. And do you think this is a good tactic coming around the wicket to Mooney? You mentioned the deep square, deep point. Do you think bowling into the pads here is a good tactic? We'll hear your thoughts after this ball from Davis. As this one's a full toss, swung in the air, could be a chance in the deep, just evades the fielder. And for a second there, it looked as if Beth Mooney had swung a full toss into the hands of the fielder, but the ball just kept running away from her. And it's another 4 runs, 16 for none now.
Oh,
was that a slower ball, Georgia?
Yeah, I think it was an attempted slower ball. It just came out a little bit wrong, and unfortunately Danny Gibson in the deep couldn't quite get round to cut it off. And I think that the tactic is good. I think that the execution hasn't quite been where Davis would have wanted.
She's in again, sticking to the around the angle. It's a better delivery and just nudged fine behind the keeper by Mooney. Good bit of work from Sarah Glenn inside the ring, keeps that one to a dot ball. And Australia, after 2 overs, are 16 for none. They require another 138 more runs. I guess for England have the availability of Sophie Eccleston's spin and Sarah Glenn, who we just mentioned there, Alice Capsey, a bit of part-time spin. How early do you think we may be seeing a bit of spin introduced into this innings?
Yeah, I think certainly Sophie Eccleston will bowl in the power play. Sarah Glenn, England like to keep for outside the power play. She usually operates outside of the power play overs, but certainly Sophie Eccleston will be in. I think Heather Knight will rotate her bowlers and she'll have a plan. She'll have 3 or 4 that she wants to go to in the power play, and include Bell, Davies and Eccleston.
So there's a big gap here at cover as Lauren Bell comes into bowl outside the off stump. It's stabbed by Healy to a forwards point, and it's a dot ball. I mean, this is a risky T20 field here, Georgia, because there really is no protection for England here between extra cover and points. A big gap on I was going to say the left of the field, or is that the right? The right.
Yeah, Lauren Bell, we often see her operate with no cover fielder because she brings that ball back into Healy. She wants her to go across the swing, trying to entice her into that.
As Bell bowls, good length delivery. Healy can only drop it into the onside. That mid-wicket fielder's in nice and tight. It's another dot ball.
And while she's got the catcher in at slip, the attacking option, that fielder has to come from the cover region because she's got her protection out on the leg side at fine leg and deep backward square.
Feel the hum of the crowd here, all fixated on this game. One of those scores where it could go either way. Bell bowling on the hip of Healy again. She can only push it back to that same fielder at mid-wicket. 3 dots in a row now. And I was hearing the other day that in the Vipers changing room, the team for whom you play, in the shorter format, you say 3 dot balls is a wicket. Is this true? That once
not
you
always.
bowl 3, well, not always.
No.
It's not guaranteed, unfortunately, but because of that pressure.
In T20 cricket, certainly just looking for those wicket-taking deliveries, the pressure as well.
As Bell bowls outside the off stump, slapped through that gap. The ball just slows up towards the boundary rope, but gets there in the end. And it's a boundary now to Alyssa Healy. Australia move on to 20 for none. 134 more runs required. And as you say, Bell there, who is relying on that swing inwards. The ball just didn't move as much that time and gave Healy that width.
No, it's poor delivery from Bell, short, wide. Healy threw the shot. The pitch is a little bit on the slower side.
Bell bowls, full of delivery, top edge, it's gone high in the air, short third, positioning herself underneath it, catch taken! There's the breakthrough for England. Sarah Glenn waited an age for that one to fall from the sky. And it's the Australian captain, Healy, gone top edge. And Lauren Bell, she's got a big grin on her face. What an important wicket there. You've got a big smile on your face, Georgia, because you've seen your Vipers teammate get a wicket there. The shot from Healy there, describe it to us, because
Yeah, she's just played across the line of a straight one. She's looking to work it into the leg side, and perhaps it hasn't swung as much as she thinks, but the smile on my face was more that Sarah Glenn had an absolute age underneath that catch. You know, all the fielders were waiting with bated breath, and you know, when you're under one of those catches, it is one of the worst feelings possible because you've got too much time to think. But she did really, really well. She steadied herself. There were actually quite a few fielders around, so Amy Jones with the gloves could have come over and claimed it. Heather Knight also at slip, but Sarah Glenn stood her ground, took a great catch, because that was in the air for a long time. And as those balls come down, they come down and you can hear them like fizzing through the air. You just hope that you can hold on to it. So big breakthrough for England. Lauren Bell gets Alyssa Healy, and that is just the start that England needed.
And you can watch that catch back on the BBC Sport website and app. And of course, this game is available to watch on BBC Two today and on the iPlayer. But stick with us. That's what we're going to say. Lauren Bell then bowling to the new Australian batter, Talia McGrath. It's a slower ball, back of a length. She just drops it on her tiptoes into the offside. Gets off the mark straight away. Australia 21 for 1. That wicket falling in the third over. Lauren Bell with figures of 1 for 11 off her 2 overs so far. This game is in the balance, Georgia. One thing we spoke about a lot after the test match at Trent Bridge last week was England needing to step up in those key moments, taking those crucial catches. The fielding maybe was lacking a bit last week at Trent Bridge, but Sarah Glenn has set the tone there with that catch.
Yeah, it was a fantastic catch. Well, like I said, they're not easy when you're under that ball for a long period of time. You've got too much time to think. She steadied herself, took it, and it's important. You know, if you want to go toe-to-toe with the best in the world, you need to match them in all 3 departments, and they've been really good tonight. I think they're running between the wickets is what impressed me from the get-go, willing to take on the Australian fielders, and then in the field tonight, so far they've been good. As we see the introduction of debutant Danny Gibson into the attack.
Now this is exciting. She bowls a lovely bit of a way swing, Danny Gibson here. lot of responsibility given to her. I will just mention that, of course, as I mentioned, we can watch this game on BBC Two, and if you want to, you'll see Alex Hartley being fed ice cream by a child in the crowd. As Gibson bowls her first delivery, it's top of off stump, pushed back to mid-on, and a good start from Gibson. It's a good thing we're no longer in COVID times, isn't it? Because go back 2 years and you've got Alex Hartley, ex-England spinner, being spoon-fed ice cream in a packed-out crowd at Edgbaston. People may have said that you were mad, but here we are. Gibson has that slip in place still, looking to catch the outside edge of McGrath's bat. She bowls outside the off stump, an expansive drive from McGrath inside edge onto a bit of pad. Gibson, she's got a sly smirk on her face there, and that almost innocent thing of when you've got a newer player in the team, particularly a bowler, you see them start to scamper back to the top of their mark as if to say, you know, in the club cricket, you've got to go back, get ready for the next one. She's bowling to McGrath, past the umpire, back of a leg, beats the outside edge. And Gibson, what a fantastic start for her first over in international cricket. McGrath, one of the most powerful batters in the women's game at the moment. She's got a bit of extra bounce off the surface there, Georgia.
Yeah, I saw that in her hand as she was running in. She actually went cross seam, and that can happen when you present the ball cross seam. It can either skid through or just catch the surface.
Gibson to McGrath, who's cutting straight to point. Still can't find the run off this Gibson over. And the corral getting behind their debutante. I'm sure there'll be lots of people listening in the West Country, Western Storm and Gloucestershire. Danny's actually one of my teammates. There we go.
Well,
but she's actually too good to play with me. She's always playing for England.
yeah.
Gibson then, crowd behind her, runs into McGrath, who's inside edge and into pad again. She'll sneak through for a single. She's desperate to get off strike. And Gibson concedes her first run of this first over so far.
Brilliant from her so far, showing her skills, using a mix of cross seam up deliveries, getting a little bit of swing, just enough. As we see Amy Jones just coming up to the stumps now, which I think is also a good tactic. Keep Beth Mooney in a crease, close out this over, and she'll think international cricket's pretty easy.
You can hear the trumpets in the ground. The crowd are on their feet, as we mentioned earlier. Wonderful mix of youth and experience. All genders here in the crowd enjoying it as Gibson bowls a brilliant finish to her first over. It's another dot ball, just the one run off it. And Australia 22 for 1 off 4 overs. They need a further 132 runs. These last 2 overs, Georgia, have just began to squeeze a bit more on the Australians since that wicket of Alyssa Healy in particular.
Yeah, and I think what Danny Gibson bowling in the power play does is it gives Heather Knight that breathing room, as we see her now pass the ball to Sophie Eccleston and think it'd be long before she came into the attack, but it just gives Heather Knight a little bit more room for manoeuvre. I wonder if we'll see Nat Sciver-Brunt with the ball this evening. She is somebody who can also bowl in the power play, but I think the introduction of Gibson in as early as she has bowled this innings suggests that maybe we won't see so much of Nat Sciver-Brunt with the ball tonight. But when Danny Gibson bowls like that, I'll be pretty happy giving her the ball for another 3.
Sophie Eccleston now, her left arm spin, bowling to McGrath, who's advancing down the pitch, driving, finding Captain Heather Knight. An extra cover. It's a dot ball again. These dots are beginning to build up as Eccleston retraces her run up, and quite peculiarly she begins her run up standing directly in front of umpire Sue Redfern, and then darts off to the side as that one beats the edge of McGrath's bat. Beautiful delivery from Eccleston, and she knows it. England are just beginning to feel themselves here a bit, Georgia.
Well, and Sophie Eccleston bowled Talia McGrath in the test match, didn't she, with that absolute peach of a delivery, and there's turn on offer there for Eccleston. And that is what did for Talia McGrath there, beating the outside edge.
2 umpires here, Sue Redfern and Anna Harris, coming into the middle for a bit of a chat. I'm not sure if they can really hear each other over the sound of the crowd here. They're having a word with Talia McGrath. Now, she's nodding along. Almost military instructions there from Anna Harris. Maybe there was just a bit of miscommunication. Maybe England wanted to send that one upstairs. Not too sure what's happened here, but the passion out in the middle as that one's cut through the gap between point and short third. McGrath finds a boundary. And whatever's happening out there in the middle, McGrath responds to it. 26 for 1 Australia. Just a bit too much width given from Eccleston there.
Yeah, they're playing cat and mouse, aren't they? I think Eccleston felt that McGrath would advance at her, has driven the ball into the pitch.
As Eccleston's bowling and lofted over, extra cover. May not have enough to take it to the boundary, and it just does in the end. Alice Capsey running round to her left to cut that one off, can't make it. And McGrath, consecutive boundaries now. And Australia needing just a further 122 runs, I make it. We found out in the first innings, Georgia, none of our maths can be trusted in this box, so we'll confirm that as defending this time. Here's McGrath into the covers. It's a dot ball. 124 more runs.
Yeah, it's there, look, runs to win, 124.
Now that's very optimistic of you, Georgia, to think I can see that over there. Fuller flicked off the pads by McGrath, but can't beat mid-on Danny Gibson after that brilliant over just before. It was off a good bit of work in the field, and after 5 overs, Australia 31 for 1. But it's heating up here. Georgia, a few more thoughts from you, and then it'll be Daniel Norcross.
Yeah, I think it's on as even, really, at the end of that power play. England with the 1 wicket, the big wicket of Alyssa Healy. Australia striking back. Talia McGrath just broke the shackles a little bit in that last over to get Eccleston away. She was struggling for the boundaries.
Can I say something? I don't like it when Eccleston bowls in a power play, and I will tell you for why.
Okay.
Well, and it's because, you know, the 5th over is probably going to go for some anyway.
Mm-hmm.
As Danny Gibson bowled really good first over. A second over, he gets a thick edge and flies past. First slip down to the boundary for 4, just wide of Heather Knight. Here on 5 Sports Extra, 5 Live and ABC. It's the Ashes, the Women's Ashes, first T20. Australia 4-0 up in points. And after the Test match, 12 more points on offer from these 6 white ball games. And England scored 153. They got there thanks to Amy Jones at the back end and Sophia Dunkley up front as Gibson is in again. This is thrashed into the offside through extra cover. Dunkley chases round to her right and will get there in front of the Holly stand. They should have got 2, but they didn't. How many times have we seen Elise Perry perform that trick for Australia? And at last, England have saved a 2 and turned it into a 1. That's what I've been calling for. 36 for 1. McGrath to 16 brings the left-handed Mooney on to strike. Yes, I think Eccleston, 4 overs outside the power play are worth more than any one of them in it. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
She might go for 8 in the power play. Someone else might go for 10. Outside the power play, she can do real damage. As Gibson is around the wicket, it's flicked away down to deep backward square. They've run the first quickly, but that's all they'll get. And actually, Heather Knight, during the T20 World Cup, never brought her on in the power play. She nearly always went 3 overs of Brunt, 2 of Bell, and 1 of Charlie Dean, who's the other option.
Oh, she's
but
used
not
to
today.
Yeah. I don't mind Eccleston in the power play. I think she gives you a threat. I think the batters have got to work harder for their boundaries. But I see your point.
Gibson in, McGrath clips this into the onside, can't beat mid-wicket, another dot ball. Bowled really well in her first 10 balls now of T20 international cricket. Danielle Gibson on her debut. Been very impressed, got a bit of pace to her. Ball rushes on, bowls, can we say a heavy ball?
A heavy ball, yeah,
heavy
absolutely. Ball. She sort of ambles up to the crease and it just skids on, low sort of action, whips through. Mix of seam up, cross seam, good slower ball as well.
And she comes to McGrath, the city end that's whacked through extra cover. I don't think Dunkley will get to that. She won't just. That's a fine shot from McGrath, who's really smashed that out through the covers. Sorry, it was not Dunkley on there. Who is that?
It's Capsey.
Well, perhaps not the most agile fielder to be having at deep point. Things can change, of course, after the power play. One more delivery until Heather Knight can put more boundary riders out. Now she's taken out of field. She's got now 5 in the ring on the offside. This will help a bit because McGrath is giving herself room outside the leg stump, looking to access the offside. In comes Gibson. McGrath drives with an angled bat magnificently down to the deep third boundary for 4. 3 boundaries in that over, an expensive one in the end. At the end of the power play, Australia 45 for 1. They need to get 153 to win, 109 more. That was a punishing over for England, and a great one for McGrath. She moves to 24 from 17, Mooney 16. And alongside me, suddenly Georgia Elvis has gone, is 5 times World Cup winner Alex Blackwell. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Dan. This is a nice little fight back here.
You know, we don't have to stand. I was only doing because
I like it.
Do you like it?
I mean, the game's so quick, isn't it? I mean, if we were like this for the 5 days of the Test match, we might have to get a massage afterwards.
Well, actually, during, I would suggest.
Maybe.
Right, now then, Sarah Glenn, the leg spinner, is going to come on to bowl. T20 specialist. Crucial moment in the game. She's coming on straight after the power play is complete. Short, fine leg. Short third, 3 in the ring from point round to extra cover. Long off his back, long on his back. It's Glenn bowls first ball into the pitch. It's flicked away out towards deep mid wicket. They've run the first, but not going to get the second.
So that looked like a little bit of a drag down, but I think Glenn, knowing that Mooney's going to charge at her, we'll expect to see sort of that flatter flight from Glenn. She's got very subtle variation, but it's that sort of change up in pace and also subtle changes in her flight. Not a big turner of the ball.
Deep mid-wicket goes out, long on, long off, and deep extra cover. And Amy Jones just moving long on round a bit. This next delivery is shorter and cut. Square of the wicket out to the boundary for 4. Again, too short, but McGrath is now looking ominous for England. She's done this in the Ashes before, Talia McGrath.
She has. She's done it for many other clubs and franchises around the world. That's 50 up for Australia. 1 wicket down after a little bit of a shaky start, losing the captain, Healy, early. McGrath is punching back here, 28 off 18.
England need a wicket, and they need it quickly as Glenn is in. That's better. It's fuller and pushed off the front foot. Back to the bowler. She moves to her right to field. There's no run. She's
right at the top of her game in terms of T20 cricket. Talia McGrath, she's the captain of the Adelaide Strikers in the WBBL. They beat the Sydney Sixers in the final.
Glenn in again, and that's cut, but can't beat Heather Knight at cover on this occasion. I'm a bit worried here for Glenn, though. She's of the 4 balls she's bowled, she's landed 1 where she wants it, really.
Well, the field is set now for Glenn to be able to pitch the ball up. The trouble is, if Talia McGrath gets onto it, it's not many grounds big enough. 3rd highest run scorer in the Women's Premier League, Talia McGrath. So she scores runs all around the world, not just in Australia. Has had some time here playing for Lancashire as well.
This is up again, and this is carved to backward point. They get through for the single, though. There's a fielder there. It's half stopped. 1 more to the total, 51 for 1. McGrath to 29. I mean, hugely valuable is a seam bowling all-rounder in the Women's Premier League. Of course, Nat Siver-Brunt be one. Talia McGrath will be hugely valuable. As Glenn's going to come round the wicket to Mooney, the left-hander, and tosses that up. That's nicely bowled. It goes out towards the wicket. Well, that actually just goes out just beyond the circle as Dunkley runs in from the boundary to field. 1 more to complete the over. 7 from it after 7 overs on 5 Sports Extra, 5 Live and ABC. Australia are 52 for 1, 102 more needed to win. England's target of 153, I mean, they got there with a flurry of boundaries at the end. Does that suggest that actually the first 10 overs they're a bit undercooked?
Oh, yes. They're under par here at Edgbaston, you'd feel, especially against Australia. So the mainstay of the batting, probably not enough runs, sort of that 3-4-5 position. Very fortunate for England. Amy Jones came good with the bat, 40 off 21 not out, and she needed runs for her team and also for herself. Has been under pressure. It's a total they can bowl at, and Australia still need 102 of 78.
Well, you know, in the Women's T20 World Cup, 153 was not always reached by Australia. They didn't go that hard in that competition. There's the first ball of a new over from Alice Capsey. It's driven up to mid-off. There's no run. So England will still feel they're in this. They could really do with just breaking up Australia's rhythm with a wicket here or there. Alice Capsey was run out earlier today, somewhat dawdling, as this is driven up and over mid-off for 4. A very powerful shot, a great connection by Mooney. Mid-off is up. There is a pretty straight deep extra cover, but that was hit with such ferocity that the fielder stood no chance, and it was 4 more to Australia. Mooney moves to 22.
Deep extra cover, really, giving the carrot for Mooney to try and hit over mid-off, and she took it.
Capsey about under a bit of pressure here. She tosses this up and it's driven out towards that fielder at deep extra cover, and they will collect one more. It's Dunkley out there with a distinctive, slightly rolling gait and ski-whiff cap with a jaunty angle. 57 for 1. Talia McGrath back on strike. 4 in the ring on the offside, a deep extra cover, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backward square, and a short fine leg. Lauren Bell, known as the Shard because of her height. Not Ringmai, as is swept but comes off pad and rolls down the short fine. There's no run. The BBC women's cricket correspondent Fionn Wynne has decided to try to find better nicknames for everyone.
Well, the Shard's better than the Gherkin, I would have thought.
Yeah, yeah.
Or the walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Capsey is driven really nicely by McGrath on the walk up towards deep extra cover, a wide long off. They come back for a second. Throw comes in. Mooney's home safely. 7 runs so far off the first 5 balls of Capsey's over. Not done badly. This is almost like a bonus over for Heather Knight. Capsey will be a part-timer. Won't expect to see her bowl 4 overs by any means. She can just burgle a couple out of her. She'll be delighted. Down the wicket comes McGrath, but this time she picks out the fielder at deep extra cover. End of the over, 8 from it. Which means Australia is still up with the run rate, but England have crucially got 3 overs of Sophie Eccleston up their sleeve, and the question is, Alex Blackwell, when do you deploy her?
Well, Heather Knight has to use her carefully. Heather only really has 5 genuine bowling options, plus Capsey as the part-timer, who does a very, very good job. And if you contrast that to Elisa Healy, she had 9 genuine bowling options in her lineup. We didn't see Perry, we didn't see Grace Harris. So it is quite a contrast, but you only need to bowl 20 overs, and so the likes of Glenn in partnership with Eccleston, I think they've proven to be very good T20 bowlers for England, especially Eccleston.
Glenn starts a new over. He's been walloped high into the Holly stand for 6. That is a shot of such power. McGrath premeditating, moving across her crease and then sweeping up and into the crowd. A great shot. It's a long old boundary out there, and not a great start to the over for Sarah Glenn. 66 for 1, McGrath to 38. She has been a thorn in England's side in previous Ashes. They've got to find a way to get rid of her if they're going to get back in this game. There's nobody at deep backward square. Now there might be, yes, because long on is coming up. Deep backward square's got to go back. I've mentioned this before, only 4 fielders allowed out in women's white ball cricket. as Glenn is in again, and this is cut straight tonight in the covers. No run.
It wasn't always the case, Dan. I played a while back where we had 5 fielders out, and so you could defend a total like this more comfortably.
It's driven off the back foot out towards deep extra cover. Dunkley will field, one more to the total. So why did it change, really?
To get the totals up. And when you've got 5 out, it's harder to find the 4s. You have to hit over to find the 6s. So it means that there's one spot on the ground where you can target. And actually what it's done is...
Glenn is in for left-handed Mooney, who drives. It's a thick edge and it squirts down to short third. There's no run.
Yes, it has increased the totals, of course, when you've got one fewer fielder out on the boundary, but it's also forced the bowlers to be much more precise with their plans and also their execution.
Glenn in. This is driven up to mid-on, where Capsey will do the fielding. Long on, I should say. 68 for 1, Mooney to 24. Good news is that DRS, which went down temporarily, is now back on. We don't want that kind of controversy. We've already had controversy in the men's Ashes today. Did you see it?
You'll have to remind me what
Well, I'll tell you. This has been driven by McGrath out towards deep extra cover for a single. No reason why he should sit, because we were all working at the time.
Yes.
But the end of the over, 11 gone. Sorry, 9 gone. I'm looking at the wrong number. 9 gone. Australia 69 for 1. McGrath 40. Mooney 24. 85 more required. Mitchell Stark caught Ben Duckett at sort of deep third, quite fine. Duckett was playing for reasons known only to himself with 2 overs to go, an uppercut. Then he planted it straight in the hands of Mitchell Stark, who appeared to take the catch being control. And then as he went to ground, his hand turned and the ball slid along the ground. Now, of course, we've been led to believe that it's about you're in control at the point of catching it. But the umpire ruled otherwise. As Eggleston starts a new over, and I think she's got a wicket here. She has. Talia McGrath is stumped. She's walked straight past one. They're going to go upstairs. They're very, very confident this is out. And actually, Talia McGrath's body language, being as it is her walking towards the pavilion with a bat under her armpit, suggests she thinks also that is the case. Neat work from Amy Jones, and the reintroduction of Sophie Eccleston to the attack might have got England that precious wicket, that crucial wicket. We're going to take a look at this. I've already got one of these wrong. I thought Alice Capsey was in from the run out, but I was wrong there. First thing they'll do is they'll check to see if there's an outside edge. That's a new thing that's happened recently, is that you get to check with Ultra Edge to see if actually they're caught behind first of all. So we'll check here. Clear daylight between bat and ball. No flicker on Ultra Edge. So now we just have to go straight to the side on camera, please. This is me being the third umpire in the absence of us here in the third umpire. Go, your best side on view, please. Now, ideally, because we've already established that hasn't hit the edge. Ball's in Jones's gloves. McGrath is still out of her ground, and is well out. As you can tell from the rapturous applause of this very engaged and very large crowd at Edgbaston, the big wicket of Talia McGrath. That is, in women's cricket terms, that is one of the big heavyweight matchups. Sophie Eccleston against Talia McGrath, two of the more important players in the women's game.
Number 1 for ball, number 1 for bat in T20 cricket. So
ball 1.
That is a terrific matchup and a massive moment in this game. England will feel that with Talia McGrath now gone, she did look the more dangerous of the two at the crease.
And they'll take drinks as a result of that, because we're into the 10th over, not quite at the halfway stage. That was the first ball of the 10th over, 69 for 2, and that has just given England, well, a bit more than a sniff. Once you get a new batter in, could start getting a bit tricky. As well as being able to watch this evening's game on BBC Two, which you can live, and the iPlayer, you can catch in-game highlights, including that very nimble stumping from Amy Jones on the BBC Sport website and app. We have got all your cricket needs covered throughout this summer. I'm Daniel Norcross. I'm with Alex Blackwell on 5 Sports Extra, 5 Live and ABC. We welcome Our Australian listeners, I'm sure some of you are braving this time of day. It's almost getting up time for the truly masochistic.
I'm sure
in
there's
Melbourne.
some die-hard fans that are listening.
It's only 5:51 in Melbourne.
No, there's plenty of
Set
people.
the alarm, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big game, this as well. Just a reminder, if Australia win this, England will need to win the last 5 matches. I suppose actually not literally. They could win 4 and tie 1. That would give them 9 points. That is still something that I haven't yet to see. I haven't seen an Ashes tie. Has there been one? I don't think there has.
I can't recall.
Sorry, I'll put you on the spot there.
No, but I have played in many, so
Yeah.
not a bad person to ask. But I can't recall a tie.
I can't. Right, so the players have had their drinks, but they seem to be less interested in the drinks actually than in the sort of bars of protein stuff that came out.
Or just a standard banana.
Didn't see a banana.
No bananas.
Didn't see a banana. No. Who was it who was big into bananas? Peter Siddle, didn't he? I think he ate
Right.
20 bananas a day, and then it became a sort of people were going.
Could have been a danger with all that potassium, perhaps.
He was sort of accused of being woke for eating 20 bananas
Yeah.
a day, which I couldn't quite work out how that worked. But people will find any sort of reason for anything these days. As Eccleston is at the top of her mark and ready to resume. She's only bowled 1 ball in this over, and she's picked up a potentially key wicket of Talia McGrath. But striding to the crease is the Test match heroine, Ash Gardner. All-rounder. She's already featured with the ball. She gets off the mark first ball, tucking the ball into the onside in front of square, the mid-wicket region. And she's underway straight away. 70 for 2. Mooney back on strike on 24. What England would dearly love to do is get rid of Mooney and have 2 new batters at the crease, and then they might be able to apply just a bit of pressure if they can get 2 or 3 overs here, burgle some. Once you've taken that wicket, Alex Blackwell, with your captain's head on, I'm asking it after this ball. Eccleston in over the wicket to Mooney, who pulls out towards deep mid-wicket. Only finds the fielder though, 1 more to the total. Are you thinking to yourself, right, let's keep going and get another wicket, or are you thinking, I might sneak a part-time over in here?
Yeah, I like sneaking the part-time over, especially because Eccleston's overs are so crucial.
Yep.
So you might bowl her in 4 one-over spells.
Her next delivery is worked into the onside along the ground. She's herring after it, but they could get, well, on another day, I think another Australian pair might have got 2 there, but Mooney settled for the single. She's usually a very good runner between the wickets, but just today, I think there's been a couple of 2s left out there. 72 for 2, Mooney to 25. 2 balls left in the 10th over. Eccleston remains over the wicket to the left hand, and this is flicked into the onside. 1 more to the total. So it goes out to square leg.
And I think on the reverse, what are Australia looking to do here? Would just build a little partnership, just needing 85 of 66. So well within reach. They've got plenty of batting depth. They don't want that double wicket here. Plenty of space to be able to turn 1s to 2s.
Eccleston in, and Gardner struck on the pad. She loves this, does Eccleston. Imploring umpire Anna Harris to give it. And I think they're going to go upstairs here. Because when you see Eccleston go that berserk, yes, they have. DRS time. And thankfully, it's back up.
Well,
Wow.
She was so far down the pitch. Very hard for Anna Harris to give that out live. Eccleston is keen. They've gone upstairs. Yes, it could be straight in front. And even though the batter is so far down, this could be given out.
Well, it could be. Here we go. This is going to be very interesting. We're going to have to go through Ultra Edge first. Give me your front-on spin vision, please. Thank you. Here it is. Well, she's down the track. Ball's passed close to bat. Can you get me Ultra Edge, please? This is the method we use to establish whether or not the ball has touched the bat. If the ball touches the bat, of course, and then goes onto the pad, then you can't be out LBW. It's a little quirk of cricket. You can be out played on off the bat. Now that I can't tell from what I see, Ultra Edge is not helping here at all. It's a very messy system here.
I think there's a few noises there. Bat onto pad, but the ball is close to the bat.
But I'm saying, looking at this, that there isn't an inside edge. Would you concur?
I agree, yes. We're deciphering the squiggles.
Here we go. Ball tracking when ready. It's ready. That's straightened. This is very close. And it's umpire's call. Again, England have got the wrong end of an umpire's call in this Ashes. They had a couple of very tight decisions go against them in the Test match. Heather Knight and Emma Lamb, of course, which started that collapse from which they couldn't really recover. And again, umpire Anna Harris cannot be accused of national bias because on this occasion she has let Ash Gardner get away with one there. At the end of the over, 10 gone. Australia 73 for 2. They still need another 81 runs. They've got 10 overs to get them in. Replacing me is Melissa Bedtime Story. She's going to come in and do the next 5 overs. After some words from Alex Blackwell.
Well, life there for Gardner, given not out. DRS proved to be much closer than we all thought. But we've got Freya Davies coming back on. She did get hit for 10 in her first over.
Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Davis coming around the wicket to Mooney, who's clubbing it past her for 4. Was there a chance there for Davis? It was struck firmly from Mooney. She saw the option with mid-off up in the circle. It moves Australia's score to 77 for 2.
Well, Mooney putting pressure right back on Davis here. Going for 10 off her first over, 4 off the first ball of her second over.
She's in again to Mooney. It's back of a length. It's swung round the corner, down to fine leg. 1 bounce 4. Pressure on here for Freya Davis. She's back into this white ball team. Didn't feature in the Test match. And now she's been hit for 2 consecutive boundaries. 81 for 2 now, Australia, and requiring just over 73 runs. So they're not going to be too phased, do you think, here by the required run rate, Alex, if they keep picking up a boundary and over?
Yeah, these two are looking good at the crease.
Davis, slower ball, Yorker length, which is driven straight to the fielder.
And yes, we've lost one world-class all-rounder, Talia McGrath, the last to be dismissed, but Gardner at the crease now. You've got Grace Harris to come in. You've got Elise Perry. You've got Annabelle Sutherland coming off an Ashes ton. Youngest Australian woman to score a ton in Test cricket.
Davis around the wicket, outside the off stump, slapped into a diving point, and that saved a boundary there. Sophie Eccleston, those bright orange shoes we talked about earlier, makes her very distinctive in field. It's not often you find her in that point position. She seems quite happy with herself there, and a crucial bit of fielding. 82 for 2, Australia.
She could have been a goalkeeper.
Well, she's got the arms for it, the wingspan.
Yeah. I'm sure she's talented at many sports.
I'm sure if the Lionesses suddenly suffer a few injuries going into the World Cup, then we can put forward her name as a suggestion. Freya Davis changing to over the wicket now, bowling to the right-handed Gardner, who chips this just short of the mid-wicket fielder, who acts out as shy at the stumps, doesn't actually have a go. It's heating up in the middle. Davis has recovered well from the start of the over. 72 more runs needed, 55 balls remaining. Final ball of this Davis over. It's got a deep point, deep square. Fine leg back on the boundary, and long on, who fields this one. Pushed down the ground by Gardner. A single taken, end of the over. 83 for 2. 71 needed off 54. And of course, you can take the Ashes with you this summer on BBC Sounds. Live commentary on the app, as well as all of our podcasts, including the Ashes Daily and No Balls with Alex Hartley and Kate Cross. In this kind of situation, Alex, I mean, you must have been in run chases like this countless times. How are these two feeling in the middle, in front of a crowd as big as today here at Edgbaston?
Well, these two in particular have experienced huge occasions before. They've won a gold medal out here for the Com Games in front of a big crowd. They know what pressure feels like.
Capsey with her off spin into the attack, coming down the pitch as Gardner, chipping it to long on.
And I think that they've been so successful when in those big occasions, more often than not, they've come out on top. So they have so much belief. They also have one of the deepest batting lineups in world cricket, and so they can trust that if they just continue to play to their strengths, they really can't go wrong.
As Capsey changing the angle, bowls a full delivery driven to extra cover, who's back on the boundary. Another leisurely single taken, moving the score on to 85 for 2. 69 more runs required. Of course, you mentioned how deep that batting goes. Jess Jonathan, who was batting at 5 in the Test match for Australia, is coming in at number 9. And of course, she also used to open as well back in the days. Capsey, flatter delivery, flicked around the corner. Square leg region, fielded on the boundary, another single picked up.
That's right, Johnson opened the batting in a T20 World Cup final against England. So, yes, there's plenty of batting to come. And Australia, the left hand, right hand at the crease at the moment, forcing England to adjust their lines.
As Capsey's bowling cut straight to point. Can't beat the inner ring. Really. She's 36 off 28 balls. Ash Gardner at the other end, 5 off 7. And useful for England here, just to sneak in a second over off the off spin of Alice Capsey, who's bowling a low full toss, driven out to extra cover. And that single collected. Australia just recognising here there's no need to take unnecessary risks.
And England just choosing to take the pace off. Freya Davies has gone for 20 off her 2 overs. Perhaps the spin of Capsey.
As Capsey bowls on the pads, flicked fine. Lauren Bell chasing it down to the boundary rope. Good effort in the end. Pulls the ball in. Australia get back for 2 runs, 89 for 2. 65 more runs required. 48 balls.
And I wouldn't mind seeing Danny Gibson come back on and potentially utilise the short delivery to Ash Gardner in particular. Before she set that, England have to take wickets, and I think the short ball to Ash is the way to go before she gets set.
Well, we've seen a few shorter ball tactics today, and the men's test match taking place over at Lord's, where the England men have quite a big challenge ahead of them. Of course, highlights of that Lord's test are on the BBC iPlayer. It might be interesting to see another barrage of short bowling, because I'm definitely not tired of it, Georgia. I'm not tired of it in this game, at least. Alex Blackwell leaves us for now. Georgia Elwes back with us as Sarah Glenn preparing for her 3rd over. She's bowled 2 for 16 so far, and Amy Jones here just making sure that all the fielders are lined up correctly here, helping out her captain. As Glenn bowls around the wicket, Mooney drives over the head of mid-off and finds the fielder on the boundary. You can tell there why Amy Jones was just making sure that Danny Wyatt on the boundary was in the perfect position, because she's at a deep extra cover, but quite straight.
Yeah, she got it right that time, so I thought that was 4 straight off the bat. Mooney hit it very cleanly. Danny Wyatt is quick out there. Came round, cut it off, just a single, so a good bit of fielding.
Glenn back over the wicket to the right-handed Gardner. She bowls a flatter delivery, and Gardner puts her whole body right behind that, but finds Heather Knight at extra cover. It's always difficult. You see those slightly flatter ones, you think you can get underneath it to get it away, but Glenn bowls with a bit of top spin, as this one's fuller, slapped down the ground to Capsey at long off. And another single taken. Australia leading 63 from 45 now. And at this stage, England will just be going a few more dot balls, maybe another wicket along the way here, and we have the chance to really put a squeeze on Australia, as that's really full this time. Driven gloriously from Mooney out to Wyatt on the deep extra cover boundary. 92 for 2, 62 more runs needed. Of course, still got the firepower of Grace Harris to come. As Glenn bowling on the pads, looking to work that one away. Gardner misses out in the end. It's a dot ball. The crowd getting behind England again here. It really is a brilliant atmosphere, and you see these kind of crowds just a few weeks ago at the first men's Ashes test. Brilliant to see them replicated today. Has swung far into the crowd by Gardner. Bowling in her arc there was Glenn, and she did not hesitate to dispatch the ball into the Hollies stand. Strong finish for Australia at the end of that over. They need 56 from 7 overs.
Yeah, it was a great shot, wasn't it? 6 straight off the bat, the trajectory. Hits the ball hard. And Sarah Glenn has her head in her hands because she knew that ball was so important. If England could get that rate up to 9, climbs up to 10 very quickly. 6 just relieves the pressure on Ash Gardner. Her run rate now is 7.5. Well within hand. England needs some tidy overs here.
And Alex Blackwell there saying that she wanted to see Danny Gibson brought back into the attack to bowl a few shorter deliveries. Is that Danny Gibson being brought back?
It is.
She's very good at her job, Alex. It's why we've got her working for us here at the BBC. And Alex, you can catch her on BBC Two as well, showing this game, and on the iPlayer. There's Danny Gibson coming around the wicket to Mooney. Bowls a full delivery, which is carved out to Sarah Glenn at point. And after bowling that previous over, the one thing you want as a player is just a bit of a rest, maybe not the ball to come to you. But she's done a good job there, getting her body behind the line. Floodlights on here at Edgbaston in the iconic E shape. There's a shorter ball from Gibson, pace taken off it, swung out to deep mid-wicket. Had to wait an age for that one, did Mooney. Just died a bit in the surface. Single taken, 99 for 2 Australia. 55 needed, 40 balls remain. In this kind of situation, Georgia, a similar bowler to Danny Gibson. Like to bowl variations. As Gibson comes in over the wicket. It's a slower ball to Gardner, who just heaves it down the ground to long on. Casually collects another single. It brings up 100 for Australia, 100 for 2. They need 54 from 39. What kind of, variations do you think would work well against this pair?
Well, she's got the one out the back of the hand, which she's used really nicely the last 2 balls.
As Gibson bowls a full delivery, guided through the fielders at short third and point for another boundary. Mooney, the deft touch there. Gibson didn't do too much wrong. She had the field set. But Mooney is a class batter. She moves on to 44 of 34. That was the back of the hand slower ball, Georgia. You called it.
No, it's just a little bit too full and too much width, and Mooney's good enough to just place that expertly between the third and the point.
One fielder deep on the offside, the rest deep on the leg side as that one's chopped down into the ground. Sarah Glenn does the fielding with a dramatic roll. One of those used pitches here in the square at Edgbaston. Single collected. 49 more runs needed by Australia. Of course, this is the first of 3 T20s in this women's multi-format Ashes series, with the test match last week, which Australia won. Picked up 4 points. Gibson, low full toss, driven firm straight to mid-off, and England allow Australia to sprint through for a single there. Finishes the over, 106 for 2 Australia, 48 more runs needed. And of course, after these T20s, we've got next T20 at the Oval on the 5th of July, and then at Lord's on the 8th of July. We then enter into ODI territory, culminating with a sold-out match down at Taunton to round off this Ashes series. Hopefully, from an England point of view, they'll be hoping this series is still alive at that point, but to reiterate, England need to win 5 of the remaining 6 of these fixtures to have a chance of winning the Ashes. Sophie Eccleston is being brought back into the attack, and I must say, you mentioned it earlier, Georgia, but all these England bowlers have the most exquisitely plaited hair.
They've got a little hairdressing club, I think.
need to try and get our membership for that one. As Eccleston's bowling, it's a thick edge, flies past the short third fielder. Lauren Bell's got a lot of work to do, and she does a fantastic job. Applauded by the crowd in front of her. She's a tall player, Lauren Bell, and she flew down to that boundary. Just saw her take a deep breath there as she picks herself back up. Crucial bits of fielding for England. 45 more runs needed. Lauren Bell, often referred to as her teammates as the Shard.
Don't think she likes that name very much, but it's kind of stuck.
Not sure you would. As Eccleston's bowling down the leg side, sharp turn there in the end. No signal from the umpire, so a bit of pad or maybe just a bit of generosity from the umpires there. Score remains 109 for 2. Eccleston darts one into the pads of Mooney, flicks the ball wristily out to deep mid-wicket. Just a single taken. Australia 44 more runs required. I'm not quite sure what the crowd are booing at Georgia L. It's either maybe a beach ball was taken by a steward, or one portion of the crowd didn't comply with the Mexican wave rules. Eccleston over the wicket, full, driven with mighty force from Gardner, but can't beat the fielder. Single taken. 111 for 2, 43 more runs required. The booing continues. Is this the crowd finding out that Georgia Airways has moved from Birmingham Phoenix to Welsh Fire? Eccleston bowling, hit in the air, straight to mid-off, and Mooney there was searching for the single, crept down the wicket, sent back by Gardner, and it's a precious dot ball for England. Eccleston holding her nerves here. Of course, picked up 10 wickets last week in that test at Trent Bridge. She's bowling to Mooney, who's back, works this off her hip into the square leg region. Fielder comes in, collects, and it'll just be a single. End of the over. 112 for 2. Australia need 42 from 30 balls. A few more thoughts from you, Georgia Elwis, on where this game's going to go in these final 30 balls, and then it will be Daniel Norcross.
Well, it's tight, isn't it? England really need to think about, Catherine Silverbrun said earlier, the construction of the overs, where they're bowling each ball, trying to be proactive, outguess the Australian batters. With Mooney and Gardner, certainly feel like this is their game to lose, but the deep ends of games, run rates can climb very quickly, and if England can string together a few overs that go for less than the required run rate of 8.4, you find that rate climbs very, very quickly.
We've just had news through of the attendance. It was put up on the big screen, and the crowd responded and applauded themselves. 19,527. That's got to be the biggest for a women's Ashes game in England, I would imagine. As Lauren Bell is in around the wicket, short ball, punched off the back foot by Mooney, who continues to anchor this innings very well. She moves to 48 with a single that goes out to Dunkley. Deep extra cover. 112 for 2, 41 needed. Australia are in control at the moment. England have got to find a wicket. They've got to disrupt Australia's rhythm. A wicket, a parsimonious over, something of that sort here on 5 Sports Extra, 5 Live and ABC. Women's Ashes. Lauren Bell is in. This is slapped in the air out towards Danny Wyatt. Deep extra cover boundary in front of the Holly stand. She throws in on the bounce. One more to the total. With the field up on the offside, that was the option. And now the field has to change again for the left-handed Mooney. Third is up, fine leg is up. Backward point is in. Extra cover mid-off is up. Long on back, deep mid-wicket. Deep backward square leg and a deep cover. Quite square, just in front of square. Bell round the wicket to Mooney on 48. Mooney digs out a Yorker length delivery just for a single. It goes out into the covers. 39 needed now. 114 for 2. 115 for 2. The lights starting to take full effect now as we get to 9:15 local time. Tall figure of Bell. Bowling from the city end. She began from the pavilion end, our end. She runs in. towards Ash Gardner, who gives herself some room and then hits a slower short ball out towards deep mid-wicket, which is brilliantly fielded out there by Eccleston on the... Well, wow, that's a great effort from Eccleston. She's in a bit of pain after doing it. She had to make a lot of ground to her right. But she's at full stretch and she saved the boundary. The crowd love that. They're really into this game now. Have you witnessed anything like this, Georgia?
I think she's just landed on the ball and that's her. But Sophie Eccleston has produced two of the best bits of fielding I've seen her ever do this game. And she's really up for the fight. That helps your bowler massively.
I've been really impressed with her. The T20 World Cup, she was a bit off the pace in the field. She was a bit of a liability today. Well, I can think of 4 runs she's saved already. This bell is into Gardner. Right-handed Gardner. Gardner hits this high in the air. Can be able to get underneath it. Bell herself. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, and it's landed safely. She never got into the right position. Tiny tiptoeing steps. It was in the air for such a long time. Capsey might have called for that. And she probably should have done, because Capsey was running towards the ball. Bell was having to run backwards there, hard to take over your shoulder, but she never really committed to it.
Yeah.
Another run.
It's the difference, isn't it? Those little moments. Ash Gardner thought she can't believe her luck.
She can't believe her luck.
Got her hand on it.
She's not. Oh, I mean, it's landed about a yard in front of her. Her arms are outstretched, imploring as Mooney's on strike, and she flicks this fine. It's going to run away for 4. It was 2 leg sidey and there's no chance for the fielder at all. And that is what happens. It's a cruel game. Cricket brings tears to your eyes and blood to your shoulders. 122 for 2. And in those 2 balls, that encapsulates what little luck England have had here. 32 needed from the last 4, and it could so easily have been 38. And that rate would then have been nearly 10s. A good over from Bell. I mean, look. Even if she'd sprinted straight away, would she have got to that? It would have been tough, but
yeah.
I think it was Capsey's catch really running in.
Yeah, for me it was Capsey's catch, but she was hesitant to go after it. The ball hung in the air for a long time, and that's perhaps why Bell thought that she could get back, but wasn't able to.
That last ball of the over, that 4 from Mooney, brought up her 50 and 19th in T20 international cricket. She's quite the phenomenon at the top of the order. And she's anchored this innings really sensibly. 53 from 42. There's so much power still to come, but a wicket here, a wicket there. Glenn into the attack with her leg spin. Into Gardner, who clips this nicely out towards deep mid-wicket. They stroll a single. No more than that. Danny Wyatt does the fielding. And that was also the 50 partnership between these two. And they lost that second wicket. Eccleston getting Talia McGrath stumped. England were back in it. They're still in it, but just hanging on by their fingernails. It's driven back to Glenn, who misfields off her own bowling. She deflects it for a single down to Capsey at long on. 30 needed from 22 balls. Glenn just making slight adjustments to her field, gets short third, just the right place. Gardner on strike. She goes for a big heave-ho. She's got loads of it. And that is sailing over Wyatt's head and bounces and then into the hollies, where it's stopped one-handed by a man in the crowd. And that, well, could be a key moment. A brave shot from Ash Gardner to target that long boundary out towards the holly stand. But she got hold of it. She moved away to leg, freed her front leg, and then smashed it high in the air over Wyatt at deep mid-wicket. And that makes all the difference now. 24 needed to win from 21 balls in England. They needed a wicket before and now desperate for it. Just to remind you, if Australia win this game, England will have to win the last 5 games or win 4 and tie 1. This is slapped to short extra cover. A dot ball. Heather Knight fields. 2 balls left in the over. Can Glenn get out of this with a dot ball? Another dot ball. Will be precious at this stage. She's in, little stuttering steps, and now then, big appeal, and up goes the finger, and off walks Ash Gardner. That's the wicket that England desperately needed. She went for a big heave-ho, well taken by Amy Jones behind the stumps, must have got a thin edge through. She's not referring it, she knows she's touched it, and England have got the breakthrough. They've got a new batter at the crease. There is light at the end of this tunnel, Georgia Elwes.
Small glimmer of light, I think, and huge wicket for Glenn there, getting Gardner. Brilliant catch from Amy Jones. It's the under edge of Ash Gardner's bat, going for another huge 6. And to be honest, 7 runs too late. Should have been over. Should have been out of the over before. Not too much damage has been done. But at this stage of the game, 7 runs is crucial, isn't it?
Well, the damage really is that she got off strike. Mooney then hit the next ball for 4, and then she hit a ball for 6. So, in the context of this game, there was a bit really. That could be the crucial moment. But, look, from an England point of view, they now have a new batter at the crease. The bad news is that it is the big hitting prodigy that is Grace Harris, one of the most exciting players in the modern game. And she can be unleashed on this huge stage. A stage that befits her talent, I would suggest, Georgia.
Can I give her a bigger talking up?
I'm a big fan.
I know.
I don't know if you guessed. Right, she's looking around the field. She's very clever cricketer as well here. She's just counting all the fielders. If you're listening, Grace. So, long on, long off, deep mid-wicket, deep cover. Her first ball. Bowler! 2 in 2 for Glenn. Grace Harris has to go. After that build-up, goes for a big drive. Zing bells light up. Australia have lost their 4th, and it is pandemonium at Edgbaston.
Well, Daniel, maybe she was listening to you and she thought, I'm going to have to live up to that hype that you'd given her, but Sarah Glenn, I don't know if it was the googly, it came back in through the gate. A huge waft from Grace Harris, nowhere near the ball, and could this be the over that turns it in England's favour? 2 huge wickets from Sarah Glenn, and momentum is swinging.
Well, it really is. It's now 24 off 18. It's back to 8 and over. England still have an over of Eccleston. When do they deploy her? The 19th?
It's got to be the 19th, hasn't it? Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. They've got Gibson, they've got Eccleston, and I think they're going to Davies now. So this is a big over. A big over for Freya Davies. She's gone at 10 so far in this game.
Is this the right move? Freya Davies at this stage. I mean, Gibson's on debut, yes. But Bell bowled a great over last over. I might have been tempted to have one more from Bell, then one from Eccleston, and see what's left after that.
Yeah.
Because Freya Davies has had a pretty tough night tonight. She's gone for 20 runs in her 2 overs. Oof. This is a big call from the captain. But I guess she's thinking, actually, new bat in. Only problem is that new batter is Elise Perry.
It is.
Who is a generational talent. She's at the non-striker's end, though, as Davis comes in, right arm around the wicket to the left-handed Mooney, who tries to drive, and the ball just sticks in the bottom of her bat. Davis fields it for her own, bowling a single. England will take that. Davis can concede anything under 9 in this over. Then England will feel they're in it. With an over from Eccleston to come. Just listen to this crowd. I'm pinching myself. I've been watching women's cricket live for the last 10 years. I never thought I'd see this day. 19,500 people crammed into Edgbaston as Davis is in. Perry's first ball, she slashes out, she gets it away rather spawnily, and she's going to get 2 for it. Really great work down there on the deep 3rd boundary, hauling that in. Low 5s all round. Perry leans on her bat rather insouciantly with legs crossed. She's picked up a couple. 21 needed from 16 balls. It's Lauren Bell, a tall woman who chased it all the way to the boundary, flicked it back. Glenn did the rest. Here we go. Davis into Perry. Perry winds up for a big slash, and she gets it out through deep backward point. Should just be the one. They come back for a second. This could be tight. The throw's not good enough. Danny Wyatt slightly off balance. She's trying to get the throw in quickly. That meant she didn't quite get the power. So Perry was able to come back for 2. 135 for 4. 19 required from 15 balls. 5 have come from the first 3 balls of this Davis over. Perry on strike, short third, backward point, extra cover mid-off. 3 fielders out on the boundary on the leg side and a deep extra cover. In comes Davis, bowls a slower ball, which is going to go out towards deep point again. I don't think they'll get 2 this time. They're going, oh, they're thinking of it. Mooney's in trouble. No, she's sent back just in time. Better throw from Wyatt this time. She had a little bit more time to just balance herself. 6 have come from this over, 18 needed from 14. What England would give for just a dot ball. It's how ridiculous this sport is. 1 dot ball make a huge difference at this stage. Fionn Wynne to my left is biting her thumb. She's nervous as Davis is in, and Mooney pulls out to deep back for square leg. It'll just be the single. 17 needed. 7 off this over so far. They started the over needing 8 and over. They've got 7 off the first 5 balls. Perry here has got kind of a free swing.
Yep.
As the field spreads again. Heather Knight just adjusting it a bit so that square leg is absolutely square. Deep mid-wicket, long on, deep cover. Here comes Davis. That has been swung up, but it's gone straight down the ground to long on. It'll just be a single. 8 off the over. They started needing 8. They got 8. I think England will take that. So there will be Sophie Eccleston surely. Oh, hang on. I think it's going to be Lauren Bell who's going to bowl the 19th. I'm not sure about this. I would have liked Eccleston on the 19th myself.
Yeah, and Gibson on the 20th. You give it to Gibson on debut, the 20th over.
Well, I might have given it Bell.
Would you?
I might. I don't know. Gibson's really impressed me today. She's gone 3 overs, none for 23. Bell's 3 overs, 1 for 21. Much of a muchness, but it's the heavier ball of Gibson I might have liked in that last over. But Glenn finishes with 2 for 33. I think Davis would have finished with 3 overs, none for 28. And it is going to be Lauren Bell, the Shard, bowling from the pavilion end. She's bowling to Elise Perry as Hey Jude. It's rather traditional cricket matches, if you're not aware. Listeners on 5 Live, 5 Sports Extra and ABC. Here comes Bell. Her first ball is a slower ball, thick inside edge, squirts the short fine leg. Mooney calls for the run and gets through. So Mooney, who's been there the entire innings, 56 from 45 balls, anchoring her side. She's anchoring her side to another Ashes victory. We're going to find out at some point in the next 11 balls or fewer. 15 needed. Capsey out at long on. Dunkley out at deep mid-wicket. Bell round the wicket. The left-handed Mooney. Jones up to the stumps. This is just tapped into the onside. They'll think of 2. Perry wanted it initially, but then decided against. 1 more to the total. 14 needed. From 10. This crowd is so engaged. It's goosebumps. Amazing scenes.
No one wants to leave their seat, do they?
Well, you'd hope not.
Superstitious cricket fan.
14 needed from 10. Bell with a hop, skip and a jump, and is in. And Perry's bowled on! Goes for a swing. Misses. Australia lose their 5th. England are fighting every last bit that they've got. They look dead and buried in this game 3 overs ago. They've taken 3 wickets and they are still in it. 15 to win off. 9, Perry go for the big Yahoo, and Bell, well, she's clipped the off stump. The zing bails right up again. And a new batter will come to the crease, and a smile teases across World Cup winner Georgia Elvis's lips.
I don't dare to dream, unfortunately. That was a brilliant ball from Lauren Bell, a leg cutter. She's used to seeing her bowl that one at the back of the hand, but she's developed that leg cutter as well, and it's done for Elise Perry. Beautifully bowled. She's holding a nerve here. These young England bowlers love running in. bowling fast, taking wickets. Is that the moment that changes it this game? It's Annabelle Sutherland to the crease, the hero for Australia from the Test match. Batted beautifully there.
137 not out in a Test match. She's coming in at number 7. I'm afraid these world-class performers keep coming if you're an England fan, but she's new to the crease. Bell, first ball to her. She swings out to deep backward square leg, and I think that's going to go all the way. It does. What a way to start. A drag down from Bell. A poor ball and put away by Sutherland. 10 needed from 8. What a difference that makes. A dot ball there, and it's 14 off 8. It's getting up to 2 runs a ball. Instead, it's 10 off 8. Too short and pulled with ease. Right, long leg goes back. Cover comes up. This is risky. What does this mean? Where's Lauren Bell bowling this? Well, she's got 4 out on the leg side. The entire offside field is up inside the circle. This is surely going to be
Yorker.
short.
No, Yorker. It's got to be.
She's in, and that is a Yorker. Flicked away out to deep square leg. Run the single. 9 needed from 7. So they needed 8 to start this over. They've hit 7 off the first 5 again.
It's tight, isn't it? What does Eccleston need for a last over? She'd love 9. How she would love 9 to defend. Ties in play as well, isn't it?
Oh. And there is a tie. No super overs in the women's Ashes. No. Same field, but for the left-hander. All out on the boundary on the leg side. This is driven over the top of extra cover, and that'll run away for 4. Great shot from Mooney, and that's deflated the crowd because Australia will go into that last over needing 5. It was a super shot, but it was too full in truth. And if you're going to have everyone out on the leg side, you can't bowl a half volley outside the off stump.
No, it's probably about the worst result that England could have had off that final ball. Exactly like you said, you cannot bowl that delivery with the field that you've got. You needed to go into the wicket. Her slower balls had been working for her. Make Mooney hit out to the long boundary. Just a bit of inexperience in the execution there from Lauren Bell.
Well, this is now a nightmare for Eccleston because she can't afford just to give singles. So what do you do, Georgia Elvis? I mean, I'm afraid you can't have everybody out on the boundary, I don't think. You can't have your 4 boundary riders, can you? Because it's just too easy to tap a single. And, Australia will be happy needing 5 off an Eccleston over. Their problem was they needed a boundary off the over. Where they're going to find it. But yeah, now sure enough, square legs coming up. Covers going back. Long off and long on and back. Deep mid-wickets back. Square leg in. I don't like this field at all yet. This can't be now. That's more like it. Mid-wicket. That's right. Going to get mid-wicket in and get fine leg up around square leg. That's someone is going to be able to save for the tap and run, and not on the edge of the circle either. You want one. It's got to be in a touch, surely.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Eccleston's making that clear. Good. Right, here we go. Eccleston in. Last over. Whacked down the ground. Is that going to make it all the way? It does. What a shot from Annabelle Sutherland. And the scores are level. Literally 4 minutes ago, this game was on a knife edge. And I'm afraid 2 poor balls from Lauren Bell and a very enterprising thwack down the ground from Annabelle Sutherland later, who's come in and played a 3-ball cameo, if you can imagine such a thing. But she's got 9 off it. 1 to win. Here we go. Eccleston in. And that's slapped into the offside. They think a single is not there. Dot ball. Crowd go wild. They're staying with England till the very bitter end here, which is great to see. It's just a ring field now with just 1 fielder out on the boundary. She goes big. Oh, and very nearly run out at the non-striker's end. Driven back at her. A brilliant diving stop. Eccleston has been incredible in the field today. And she's lying face down still. I don't think she can quite believe she pulled that off. She's probably thinking, I should have caught it. Oh, we see on Stumper. It's a brilliant coverage. You can watch the end of this if you want on BBC Two and iPlayer. Highlights, the BBC Sport website and app, of course. You know all that. But more importantly, Australia still need 1 to win. There's 3 balls left. Shows you what would have been possible if she'd had 9, 10 to defend. I tell you, the margin between these sides is nothing like as large as you might imagine. It feels like Australia are going to get over the line again, but England are much closer to them than the results suggest. As Eccleston is in, Sutherland whacks this in the air, should be caught. Jones underneath it, takes the catch. Well. 2 balls to go, 1 run to win. Sutherland got a shortish ball, but not quite as short as the shot suggested, and with the field up, she's trying to go over the top. She got very little on it. It ballooned in the air. Jones ran from her position behind the stumps and took the catch in a short extra cover position. It came off the top edge. And now, who's going to come in at number 8 with 2 balls left, needing 1 run to win? Georgia Wareham. I love the way you signalled that to me by doing a leg spin. Yeah, Georgia Wareham. Right,
Well.
Scores are level. Don't forget, England can't win, but they'd love a tie now, because they'd actually still be in exactly the same position. To get a tie, they'd need to win 4 of the last 5 games. That's the situation. Still, it's long odds. 1 run to win, 4 wickets in hand, but a new batter on strike. And we've just seen 3 dot balls.
Ooh.
This crowd will dream. I tell you, if this is a dot ball, this
Yeah.
place is going to erupt.
Yeah.
Same field, you can guess it. It's 5 close in on the offside, 3 on the leg side, 2 very close, saving the push and run. At some point, they're going to have to choose to run. Will it be now? Here we go. Listen to the crowd roar. Eccleston in. Wareham smacks it into the offside. They go through for 1. Throw comes in there. She's home. Australia win by 4 wickets with 1 ball to spare. But I tell you what, England there got so close to the world champions. That will surely give them some kind of belief. Australia ultimately, well, that innings of Beth Moody, the tiny mistakes, the chance to get rid of Ash Gardner, that moment when, having taken the 5th wicket, a couple of bad balls from Lauren Bell, both hit for 4. That's what ultimately did it. It's a game of very fine margins, but England were so close today. But the headline is Australia have won. They won by 4 wickets. They picked up another 2 points. They're 6-0 up in this multi-format series. And the simple fact of the matter is they cannot afford to lose another game, and they have to win at least 4 more. I hadn't thought about the tie before, but after watching tonight's game, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we do get a tie in the Ashes at some point. It was a noble effort. They just were, you said, at the halfway stage, Georgia, they're about 5 to 10 runs too light, which happened in that first 10 overs, didn't it, really? And with the ball, it was the odd mistake, and that's all it takes at this level. It was just the odd mistake. What a game of cricket, though, and what a spectacle as the players walk off. Of course, the result matters. It matters enormously to these women. England women have been desperate to get one over on the Australians for quite a while now, and they'll be gutted that they've lost. But the spectacle of today's match has just been enthralling and wonderful. And for anyone who has been following women's cricket for the last decade and a half, you know, Nat Siver made her debut 10 years ago at Louth in front of 50-odd people, and now she's playing in front of 19,527 in an absolute humdinger against the world champions. What a game of cricket we've seen there. Bowling figures in the end, I'll give you. Lauren Bell 2 for 32, Eccleston 2 for 24. Number 1 bowler in the world getting out the number 1 batter, Talia McGrath, and Sarah Glenn 2 for 33. Davis none for 28 from 3, didn't have the best of nights. Danny Gibson on debut, none for 23, really impressed in those 3 overs. And Alice Capsey 2 overs for 14 without taking a wicket. For Australia, well, it was Beth Mooney. She anchored the innings from beginning to end, unbeaten on 61 from 47 deliveries. Talia McGrath with a muscular 40 from 29. That partnership, and Ash Gardner as well coming in and making 31 from 23, looked to have won the game easily for Australia, but from 120 for 2, they stuttered. They looked vulnerable. I wouldn't say collapsed, but they went from 120 for 2 to 140 for 5, and when Elise Perry was out, they still needed 14 runs from 9 balls. But unfortunately, the long hop, the first ball that Annabelle Sutherland faced, was whacked away to deep backward square, and then you just felt it was too much for Sophie Eccleston to defend.
Fine margins, isn't it? I thought that there were 5 runs, 10 runs short with the bat, and then when you have a below par score, everything needs to go right for you in the field, and there were moments there, drop catch from Ash Gardner cost them at least 11 or 12 runs in the next couple of deliveries before she was eventually dismissed. That hurts you. And then in a run chase, Beth Mooney, she's just anchored that side, as she so often does, and she's completely unflappable seemingly. Looked in complete control throughout that run chase, and because this Australian side bat all the way down, everybody who was coming in, you knew that they were dangerous, and England would never have felt like they had that game under control. But it is the closest that they've come, and they'll take heart from that. They'll be absolutely gutted walking off this field. That is the closest they've come to beating Australia in a long time, and it is fine margins in this series. Australia are 6-0 up, but you just think what could have been had England won key moments. We talk about it all the time, but the gap is definitely closing, and these England girls, they've got to believe, they've got to dust themselves off. 2 huge games at the Lords and the Oval this week coming, and they need to get some points on the board, give themselves a bit of confidence going into the rest of the series.
Well, a couple of things to observe here. We've had 2 Ashes matches at Edgbaston this summer, and they've both been humdingers. And both times Australia have just squeezed over the line.
Annoying.
Both times they've then got to go to Lords. The Lords crowd needs to lift the women in a way they haven't the men, and the women need to react much better than the men have to their loss at Edgbaston. That's going to be key, because they are binge drinking in the Last Chance Saloon here. They've got to start winning. It's vital that they get some points on the board, but they've got to take encouragement from that as well. You know, when they look at that, it's such small margins. It's a ball here, a ball there, and is there any case for changes? I mean, Kate Cross, maybe a bit of experience, a bit of wisdom comes in. I mean, England's bowling attack on paper looked a bit callow. You've got Sophie Eccleston with all that experience, Sarah Glenn, yes, but then Lauren Bell, Freya Davis, Danny Gibson on debut, and Alice Capsey. If Nat Siver-Brunt can't bowl, then does this call really for someone like Kate Cross to come in?
Yeah, potentially. I think not having Nat Siver-Brunt in her armoury is hard for Heather Knight, because she bowls in all areas of the game. Kate Cross has previously not been picked because of her death bowling. They don't think that she perhaps executes as well at the death as the likes of Freya Davis and Lauren Bell, but the way she bowled in the Test match, she's got to be up there. You know, she's so consistent with that new ball. I mean, she could bowl 4 overs up top, couldn't she, at the start of the innings? She so often does for her domestic sides, and I think that she'll definitely be banging down the door. She's putting in good performances. She's played in this white ball side for the last sort of 5 or 6 years and really made a name for herself for being consistent, and maybe that is what England need. I don't think that England will want to be reinventing the wheel overnight. They're not far away. We've seen that, and smiles on the faces of some of the England girls. They know that they're not far away from Australia. And Australia, they will be scared. They're 6-0 up in this series and in control of it. But it hasn't really gone that way in the Test match and the game today.
No, but they need to win the next game.